Wow. Interesting. Wow. That lingered. Well, welcome everyone. It took me like the 1,000 times I had to read everything to just come on. So please excuse me. This is my full moon edition of the Chocolate Mountain Show. Those of you, if you've never watched me before, um, I go by 8 Wind is Timeless. I am also known as Time Lord. So I am the holder of the infinite ball game that was created by the Hero Twins. I am also your galactic daddy-o, welcoming each and every one of you on my galactic patio in the chocolate Milky Way. So thank you each and every one for joining me. Sending you all out the Virgin energy. The Virgin is like not necessarily, it is a trident. It is stronger than what they tell you Poseidon's trident is. This is the true composition of it. Can be 8-sided or like this, even 4-sided, or yeah, 8-sided on each side. So I send this energy out to you. May this lightning energy reach each and every one of you on this full moon. I'm going to go through one of my prayers with you. This is my custom-made pipe by Charles Henderson. If you're interested in anything like this, he makes knives and he makes these pipes. Charles Henderson, if you look me up on my Facebook under Brian Toby Macon, you can find Brother Charles. This is one of my friends, and he makes these custom pipes. This is buffalo. This is buffalo. This is a little rabbit. I forget what he said this hide is, but I know the bone is buffalo bone. So I'll go through one of my prayers that I do every day. So here we go for this full moon, because the full moon is peaking right now. So I send this out to the guides and ancestors that reside in the East. I send this out to the guides and ancestors that are in the North. I send this out to the guides and the ancestors that reside in the South, in the West. I send this out to the ancestors and guides that reside in the South. I send this out to the guides and ancestors that reside in the center. As I'm laying before all, and even you, I let you see my higher self, which is me being on top of my mountain. But I am not afraid to let you see my lower self, which is me walking out of my cave. I place myself inside of the water tree, which allows me to stand next to my mound. And from the mound, I take my place to the terrace. And from the terrace, I go up to the Great Source Father. And I thank the Great Source Father. And may this love go to all the fathers until I come into my own Father, while I hug and kiss him and thank him for the balance. I go up to the Great Source Mother. And may I hug and kiss her. And may that hug and kiss go through all the mothers that come to my mother, that I may hug and kiss her. And so as we all reside on this great new cycle of this new moon energy, the frost moon, may each and every one of you, all that you're manifesting, may it come true, is my wish for each and every one of you. So let's see. I'm sorry it took me, couldn't tell you how many times I tried to get on here. It just wasn't working. Jacoby, thank you for joining me. Derek, thank you. Moray. Anise, thank you for joining me. Hey, Lorenzo. Moray, if I didn't say what's happening, Lorenzo, yeah. PJ, what is happening? 2 teams just went off. I hate them both. Full moon tonight. I thought about you. Thank you. Yeah, up here is cloudy. Up here is cloudy. You know, there's some past I would be outside. It's cold. It's really cold outside. Thank you, Moray. And so I just placed this all upon you. Everything's not over. Everything is not over here, but that's okay. I'll get by. My son gets up, he can bring me what else I need. Conspiracy University, what's happening? That's my man. So I just come to you on this full moon and hope again that you are manifesting all that you can manifest, because this is the time to manifest. And that is part of the moon ritual. As we know, this is one of the heavenly bodies that is closer to us. Um, yeah, I was trying to get done with my sounds before the incense died down. Um, but it's one of the one times where you might get a push. I mean, there's so many times in our life that we try to manifest, but we don't get a push. This is one opportunity that we can get a push. And so, hey, Sean, thank you for joining me. And so that's why I come on and I like to practice these full moon rituals with everyone, because it is the closest heavenly body to us. Um, Again, it is looked at in myth as a time shapeshift for those that have those type of abilities. That's what it goes back to, us being actually able to shapeshift. And so some people revel in this. Some people revel in this time of year to be able to have that kind of push, because one thing on manifesting any tell you is the any amount of push that you can get is actually a positive thing, because sometimes you don't have any energy behind you or any sales behind your back. And so this is kind of I'm wondering why I was feeling so spiritual. Yeah, last night got some real deep meditations. Like I used about three or four different stones, and it's funny. Normally I'm in the gold kind of wave, but last night I stayed in the deep purple. And what I found is the purple is like the highest kind of vibration, far as that kind of frequency when you meditate. I guess that's the best way I can say it. And so I stayed in that. And a lot of times, because the purple black, there's not as much what I call creating your own light in the darkness. But what I've been learning and still learning is that even in the purple black, you still have to recognize the fractals. And so the fractals is something that, even if you're like a lot of times you'll start the day, you'll be vibrating in the red, and the red tends to be the lowest frequency. But even in the red, you are giving fractals to work with. And so even in that that red frequency, there are fractals that you should recognize, because for one reason or another, you're not raising everything up high enough. And so if you can recognize the fractals given to you in the red, if you had to do some work where you stay just in that low frequency, you'll feel at home. If that kind of makes sense. I would say my normal frequencies is the yellow. The yellow kind of opens up. My guides tend to be in the yellow. But last night, I just stayed in the purple black, which again, Charite tends to be, it's purple, but it gives you that black purple. So, well, thank you, Electrical 3. Thank you. Sean says, feeling spiritual lately and more connected with grounded. Reality is a machine taking everyone's energy towards the end of the year. Well, as I said many times before, and I'm a sniff and snort, this incident is kind of getting me, but as I've said before, they need the reason for all these holidays starting with the Day of the Dead. And they even take that energy because that was kind of a bridge day to communicate with the dead. But the reason that they use these energies and why time is sped up as we get past the Day of the Dead or Halloween is because they need your energy to usher in this, to make all this society believe it's a new year. They need all of your energy. So it's almost the vampirism they do. That's why they give you Christmas. That's why they want you drunk to come into the new year. And then they have the nerve to show a baby coming into the new year, but they want you to get drunk. Because again, this false narrative, this false year, this false age, they want to fool you any way they can. And that's why they would rather have you drunk than have you full of mind. Some reason this month has made me feel calm. I didn't feel the December rush, the shopping frenzy nerves. You know what I mean? Okay, that's cool. And for the new moon, it's 3 days before, the day of, and then 3 days after that the energies are there. So you kind of have to guide to, if you do a little bit every day, you can see where you can peak it. As I said, right now, we're still into the peak because the peak hit about 11:30 Eastern. So I was still trying to catch where we were peaking. So family that's coming to our hardware store looks so confused and out of place, anxious, angry, and rude. Wow. AJ Bills. And so, and like the animals, you may see the animals acting a little different if you have pets. A lot of times, especially cats, cats are real sensitive to the full moon energy. So if you see your cats acting a little weird, it's like my daughter's mother, their cat is in heat. I would hate to have a cat in heat in this time of the year. In this full moon kind of energy that's going out, I would hate that. I guess I'll start off like this. Brother Bomber, I shared his work. He shared some things. I think my brother and I have spoken on a lot of things that he broke up. And he was calling he was calling Osiris Marduk, which again, the Sumerian is older. He called what was something interesting he said today is he said on his thing was Gilgamesh as being the atom, which was interesting. He called Gilgamesh as being the atom. That was interesting. But remember, Gilgamesh had a twin. I can't think of its name, but the hairy beast that stayed with Gilgamesh, which is the first talking of the Bigfoot, which Gilgamesh's, was his twin, was his equal, because that's how it goes. It's like Gilgamesh is told of a beast that's down there fucking the animals and everything. And so Gilgamesh had to go down there. Why would you come over here? This stuff bothers you. So why are you over here? This incense bothers you. So I don't know why you come over here. Why did you wake up? But anyway, and so Gilgamesh goes, because Gilgamesh was whooping everybody's ass. Gilgamesh was so bold. He was like, I done kicked everybody's ass so much. Maybe I need to fight the gods. And so the gods, the Bigfoot, and he starts fighting the Bigfoot. And then he ends up then he fights the Bigfoot all day and all night. None of them win. Gilgamesh finds his equal. So that's in Sumerian. You can find that in the Lost Book of Eniki. If you don't want to read all Stingen's work, you can find that in the Lost Book of Eniki. He talked about what is Metatron. And those of you, if you ever watched the older show Tron and the newer show Tron, remember they moved on circuits. Remember, they would move on circuits. And then you still saw, even in the Tron show, what would be considered good energy and bad energy. And that's kind of, or what would be considered a positive energy and a negative energy. Which one are you mostly related to? Hey, unique breed. Big bro, my family still doesn't speak to me because I don't celebrate holidays. Mom and siblings, I can't understand. Like me either. I don't celebrate holidays. My ex, my daughter's mother bought me a ornament with all my children's name, and it's in the shape of Christmas heads, but it has each of my children's name, and it's like a little mini tree, and it's only about 4 or 5 inches. That's it. Just a name with all my children, but I don't celebrate any holiday as well. And it's because of this that we are. I mean, if you're celebrating Christmas, you're celebrating Krampus. Remember, Krampus was for when they give you the Satan, they take it away from Saint Nicholas. Saint Nicholas wore green. Saint Nicholas was a jolly old dude, laughed a lot, giggled a lot. That was Turkish. So he was not this Satan. And so you are giving your children to Satan's elf. The elves was demons, little negative demons that are meant to steal children. This is the Krampus story, and not that funny show they put out there a couple years ago. That was a comedy to downplay the Krampus energy. That's why that silly show was done. That was a downplay to downplay this Krampus energy. I mean, I'm cringing. Like my daughter was put through, her mother, again, not fully understanding what all this is about, would set my daughter on this Satan every Christmas till she was about 4. And many of you do the same. I mean, if you look at where these holidays come from, I mean, It's not all what you mean. We are not celebrating what you think. We are basically celebrating Marduk's birthday, Nimrod's birthday. It has nothing to do with any of the Yahshua energy at all. All of it is satanic, all of it. So yeah, I don't celebrate it either. Now I give gifts. I do give gifts. Now I had relatives that were Seventh-day Adventist or whatever the Watchtower people are, and my uncle's wife would accept gifts. She wouldn't give gifts, which was interesting. She would accept gifts. She wouldn't. Uniquely breed. Thanksgiving is the worst. Thanksgiving is the worst for melanated people. You're celebrating a massacre. Now, Tasha, if you go look at Tasha Z's, there was a fall festival that was celebrated going from Mexico back when the corn harvest came in the Northern Americas, where we celebrated the Three Sisters. Yes, we did have a celebration. And as I've said this many times before, personally, when I was a little boy, and what was proudest of all my relatives going up to my great-grandfather and his brothers, is it was a celebration where everything that was served came from our family land. My ancestral family land. Everything moves on, all the meat, everything, all the vegetables, everything, all the other wild game, all came from our family's land. So that's what we celebrated. But it was a celebration of the Three Sisters, not a celebration of cooperation with them. Now, we had 2 instances where they did slaughter on these days. One instance, they poisoned people. They poisoned people. They called themselves doing charity and giving the Eastern woodland people food, and then poisoning them and then slaughtering them while they were poisoned. Another one is there was a fort. You know, we built forts. Woodland Indians built kind of barricaded places as well. And while the men were out hunting, gathering for this upcoming celebration, again, Europeans, British, what are the Quaker hats called? And not the Quakers, it'll come to me for a minute. But this wasn't a celebration of us. We're celebrating our old demise. That's what the celebration, you know. I thought the real St. Nicholas was from Turkey. Exactly. Yeah. I'm sorry if I didn't say Turkey. He was from Turkey. Yeah, he's from Turkey. Yeah, the real St. Nicholas was from Turkey. Yeah. Hey, James, thank you for joining. He was from Turkey, a Turkish brother. But he wore green. He didn't wear this blood red. He wore green. So keep that in mind. So that's not what to celebrate. The real energy is now, this is another dark night. Again, we're coming into the solstice. So the solstice is, will it be the tomorrow night going into Tuesday? Yeah, I think tomorrow night or Tuesday night is the longest day of the year. And a lot of good energy will come out of that because it is the longest night of the year. Sadly, after the 21st, we'll see the days get shorter and shorter. By the time we get to May, we're going to have 15, 16 hours of daylight, and we'll have the start of the long days. So this is kind of sad for me because I enjoy these long nights. Yes, they are long winter nights, but again, I enjoy the long nights. So Protestants. That was the word I was looking for, Protestants. These were Protestants. And what's interesting, if you get into the Civil War, to tell you how much these Catholics weren't and hated Protestants, if you look at one thing the Federals did, one of the first things the Federals did during the Civil War is the Federals, when they attacked Kentucky and Tennessee, my brother and I were talking about this the other day, they wiped out 30, 40, 50,000 Protestants out of each state. It was like they almost went after the Protestants first. And you don't hear that unless you do a deep dive of who these Federals went after. They went after Protestants. And so if you're just openly going after Protestants, it ain't about slavery. It ain't about slavery like they want to make you think it's about slavery. It's not about slavery. So, oh. So it's not entirely, Civil War wasn't entirely about slavery, like they want to make you think. But getting back to Brother Bomber, again, I don't want to, say his work word for word. The question I brought to him and to give to you. So if Marduk is supposedly Osiris, who is Yadaboeth? That's what I left in his questions. That's what I was asking him live. Who is Yadaboeth then? If Yada, and who is Prestus Sophia? Who is Prestus Sophia? I mean, again, he said nothing about them. So I take it that Yadaboeth ain't Marduk, which I've never thought he was. I don't think I've ever been on here saying that Yadaboeth is Marduk. Now, Nimrod, of course, Osiris. Skipping forward a little bit, I took a few little notes. Oh, he did say one thing. Now, he did say one thing that I'll share. Now, when we had this breakup of, again, the melanated people discovering and having proof of of being American Indians, and not just being, again, not trying to hitch our ride onto these natives, because these natives lied about who we are too. So that's why we can't trust them either, because they knew who we were. And again, because some of, like, you take some of the Sioux that started down in South Carolina that did go across the country. Even these people don't really try to connect with the people from South Carolina. Sioux in the South Carolina. There's some Catawbas in the South Carolina. And that's why you have a person saying, our brother left, and then when we reconnected with our brother, we did not know him. That's where that comes from. These natives, again, from the very beginning, the natives, a lot of these native tribes sided with the British. I mean, that's one of the fallacies that hurt Pontiac. Pontiac didn't know that when the French left, he always thought the French was going to come back. He didn't realize the treaty that the French giving North America to the English. That was it. And Pontiac was always under the false idea that if he could rally enough and beat the English back in Pittsburgh, that the French would rejoin him. Of course, that never happened. That's why the Battle of Pittsburgh and the Battle of Detroit was so, especially the Battle of Pittsburgh, because that's really what opened up the Midwest to the English. Was once they defeated Pittsburgh and then, of course, captured Detroit, because they came from Detroit. They would use the Detroit River, but they came from the north and came all the way down to Detroit. So they wanted a quicker way where they could just come from Pittsburgh, which is right now 80-90, Highway 80-90. And that was going to secure where they could have supplies coming. And so Pontiac, what he was trying to do is cut off their supplies. But to get back to my point, one thing I saw very early in a lot of because see, what you have is you had a lot of dudes who was Hebrew Israelites, and then come to find out that it wasn't popular. A lot of these Hebrew Israelites who had been Pan-Africans before, Carmel and all them dudes was part of that. They jumped on to being woodland Indians. But they always kept putting that, what is it? Yah saying they going, hey, Yah, saying, hey, Yah. Again, they're going through cowboy movies. That's where they get that shit from. That hey, Yah shit comes from cowboy movies. But something I called them very early is I called them goat lovers. And that brings me back to something that Bomber was saying. The war is between the goat lovers and the serpents. Now, Quetzalcoatl, which is the serpent dragon, this appears to be on the serpent side of things. And we know that Yahweh, which again is Marduk, the jealous God, would be considered the goat. If you look at Moses in the Trevi Fountain, Moses has horns. And you can go on Pinterest and find thousands of pictures with Moses with horns. Matter of fact, you can find one picture. Bomber put this up years ago, but you can find this. It shows Moses with goat horns. It shows a goat in heat with its butt kind of raised, but it shows a child, like a child is in the field too, and the child is bent over. The child is bent over like one of the goats is bent over. So that tells you what they are. But And then he's in an interesting thing about Baphomet. He said Baphomet is a black dragon with no wings, which was kind of interesting. Um, um, sexless being, but a black dragon with no wings. I had never heard that before. So, the interesting thing to try to understand a lot of the rap is what he was basically saying is kind of what, when I was reading about conscious transference from the Book of the Dead, it talks about transferring, and what you are transferring is you're transferring all that you had learned into this signal. If you follow me, you're transferring all that you have learned into your energy signature, because that's the next phase of this is. There is no really death unless you make an agreement to sell that. And that's that's what you have to understand. When people say sell their soul for fame, whatever Lola wants, where Lola gets, bedazzled damn Yankees, you are selling that energy signature. So you're not going back into electric type of field. You are giving all that up for right now. So instead of you moving on, what happens is you'll be sucked up like a vacuum cleaner. There's no reason for you to do the transform, the mental transformance, the mental transformance. You're not going to do that, because again, you've already done up everything. You've already sold everything that you could. This is what you've traded everything for. So that's the sad part. So I thought it was a lot of good work. I thought it was one of his best shows ever. I think it goes in line to a lot of what I talk about. But again, I don't like the question of what is that being that we see in front of the UN? Where does that being fight in? Because that being ain't a serpent or a goat. That being is looked at as an abomination. That being is looked at as a type of lion head. That's why what you're looking at, I think it's 110. Let me see if I can give you a description of it. I don't have it marked, so I'm kind of just looking back in the glossary. But let's see if I can give a let's see. I can't find it quick as I'd like to find it. Okay, it's just on this page. It's just giving the name. Another name is, I think Jeffrey brought it up, is the Demure. The Demure. But it says that the creator of this world was named Yadaboeth, or Samuel. Samuel is another name for Yadaboeth, is Samuel. Jody, did you get my thing about Saint Germain? Saint Germain. And I found a little interesting article about Saint Germain. Saint Germain, they think, is Francis Bacon or Shakespeare. That this was one of Queen Victoria's children, but Francis Bacon. They say that Saint Germain was also Francis Bacon, and we have up to Madame Blavatsky talking about Saint Germain. So I bring this up because Michael Jordan has a line in Paris that is, and even shoes, that is a tribute to this Saint Germain. So can you explain necromancy? Understanding was talking about it. All I knew about it was from Insane Clown Posse. Well, technically, it goes like this. Necromancy is communicating with the dead. So say you went to a medium and you wanted to speak to the dead. Well, that's necromancy. So you go to a medium, the medium so-called one of your ancestors comes into them and you're talking to them. That's necromancy. Them like Brother Bomber talked about what he said with Marduk, and Marduk took a battle and Marduk was basically killed. They bring him back to life. Inannu or one of his relatives bringing back to life. Well, bringing the dead back to life is necromancy. And you see the same thing in the Osiris kind of thing, where she basically has sex with this dead body. That's necromancy. Secret of Eternal Life, Saint German. Yeah, German. Yeah, Saint German. And so that's what necromancy is. It's any time you're raising the dead or any time you're communicating with the dead is necromancy. And so technically zombies, so if you ever watch the thing in Voodoo, they kill the body. So the body and mind is dead, but they want a spirit to stay into that body. That could be looked at a type of necromancy, because you kill something, but yet you have this undead. Vampires are another example. The vampire has to kill you at first by sucking your blood, and then when you come back, that's necromancy. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Anytime you are trying to communicate with the dead, that's a form of necromancy, especially channeling. So yeah, I thought it was To Eternal Life. I thought that was one of his best shows. I've been watching Bomber since about 14, so that definitely was one of his best shows. So, but yeah, me too. I don't pass everybody's stuff, but people put out good stuff, I do share it. Oh, and you guys notice what the NFL did? So the NFL canceled all these games for this weekend, but do you see what they're doing? Because when I was a boy, Christmas, just as Thanksgiving is about football, and I'll say this, in the 70s, a lot of the bowl games was played around Thanksgiving time. So Thanksgiving was a day of bowl games. Then you had the Cotton Bowl always on Christmas. The Cotton Bowl was generally on Christmas. That was a Christmas tradition. Was the Cotton Bowl was generally on Christmas, and generally the Cotton Bowl was for the national championship. But do you see what the NFL? The NFL has double headers tomorrow. They have double headers on Tuesday, and then they got a Thursday night game. And so what the NFL is trying to do under the guise of this so-called sickness is the NFL is trying to take Christmas week, because what is Christmas Day now? Basketball. So they can't compete with the NBA on that one day. But so I thought that was interesting that I caught that. So that's what they were trying to do. I wanted to say something to Brother Nick Taylor, and not really to Nick, but when people hear me call Nick Taylor, I call him home slice or home cut. Let me tell you kind of in Michigan where that comes from. So if you ever heard the saying, cut from the same cloth? And the second part is, some neighborhoods, to get to them, you take a shortcut. So you'd have somebody come to you and say, so-and-so say they from the cut. Is he from the cut? So-and-so's from the cut. Is he from the cut? And I don't know if other places talk like that, but that's the way that we talked in Michigan. So that's where when I call him home slice or home cut, that's where that comes from, cut from the same cloth. So there have been like 7 other Tuesday night games in there for history. I think the rest have been for weather reasons. There you go. They're trying to take the week. They definitely. When I was a child back in the 90s, the Cotton Bowl was on New Year's Day. Yeah, later they switched them to New Year's Day. But in the 70s, the Cotton Bowl, I'll give you a prime example, and maybe we can look up the date, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think when Ernie Davis, when he played in the Cotton Bowl in, what would that be, in 60 season, I'm pretty sure that won Syracuse the national championship. And maybe my date is wrong, but the Cotton Bowl was generally in the 70s was a Christmas game. Now later they put all the games to the first. They put all the games to the first. Yep. I've heard home slice say that in hometown over here. Yeah. And we also say home bucket, but that's where home cut, home slice, that's where that come from. Is he from the cut? Somebody come to you say, this dude say he from the cut. Is he from the cut? And that kind of mean, it's like everybody knows, like it would be just that secret way to get back to the house, the shortcut, the shortcut to the neighborhood. And that would always come up. This dude say he from your cut. Is he from your cut? So that's kind of where that comes from. They plotted these schedules, definitely plotted. This is right now what we're looking at. Biden his ratings is horrible all around. So his go-to is this thing. That's all he has going for him. And remember, okay, right now OSHA gets to kick in back, like I think August, they dropped it back to mid-January. But remember, when this goes to Supreme Court, it's going to Kavanaugh. You think Kavanaugh's going to side with Biden and OSHA? The judge who dissented in this latest thing of OSHA, the judge dissented, said OSHA stepped their bounds. That's what the dissent, because it was only a 2-1. These Democrats, I believe, 2 Democratic district judges took the injunction away. But the dissenting judge said, she said, they're overstepping. They're overstepping the Constitution here, and of course they are. Spreewell turned down $26 million contract from the Timberwolves because he claimed it wasn't enough to feed his family. He never received another contract again. What an idiot. Of course, because I remember when they put his house in foreclosure here, and they took a boat that he had, went in foreclosure here. I mean, he was lucky that when he choked PJ Carissimo, when he choked him, he was lucky that they let him back in the league. That could have been a stunt. I'm not quite sure, but he was lucky he got put back in the league. So, but yeah, LG, he definitely sabotaged himself. We saw the same thing with the dude, the foreign-born player, the African player that played in LA last year. They started off in OKC. They played a year with the Lakers. The Lakers gave him all that money. This dude signed for the minimum. This dude had a chance to have $80-some million contract. Now he's on an NBA minimum or veterans minimum contract. And what does he do? He takes a picture with Bentleys and shit to try to show you that didn't hurt him. Come on. That hurt deep pockets. That hurt. You turned down $84 million and now you're getting the minimum. You had a chance to get $20 million a year, and now you making 3 to 7, something like that. I don't like pocket watching people, but yeah. Tripska Music, Kavanaugh and Amy Barrett are Catholic, so are Biden and Pelosi, Jesuit squad. That's why they didn't take the election fraud cases. I still say though, them people that Trump put in are going to show they're going to decide. They're going to go against Biden. They're not going on this one. They're not siding with Biden. And you know, it's funny. I showed this. Biden said that when his daughter got married, he said that all Catholics dream about their children marrying Jewish faith people. No, a Catholic would want to marry another Catholic. You know that years ago, a Catholic trying to marry a Jewish faith person, like there was a TV show. There was a TV show called Bridget Loves Bernie. And it was that very same thing. You had a Catholic that married a Catholic, married a Catholic, married a Jewish faith person. And this is from maybe 70, 71. And this showed it was almost like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Like the show showed it was such a difference that it was almost like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. You would thought this was a melanated and a European. So catch what Joe Biden said after the Packers-Ravens game. He said that the Packers-Chiefs played in the first Super Bowl. This year's Super Bowl is in the same city. There you go, Stroder. Hey, Stills. Now Stroder. What is Stroder? Like Ricky Stroder? I don't know what that means. So I don't know, Trip. I don't know if Tripowski. I don't know if that's going to hold tight with the Jesuit. I don't know if that's going to hold tight. And as I was saying, Jesuit is the new Illuminati word. It really is. The Jesuit is the new Illuminati word. Now, if you study Isabella, you see when these mugs was forced to go into being part of the Catholic Church. If you watch, like you don't see Inquisition movies anymore. Because like when they used to show Inquisition movies, it was always a torture chamber. And you didn't know who was getting tortured, but you always heard screaming of people getting tortured. Remember the rack? Y'all know what the rack is? Where they put your arms and your legs and they tightening you? That's the rack. That was done to Jewish faith people. Isabella is the only one in the history to go after them people. Queen Isabella went after them people. So, and what was happening was, as they was going into other countries, they wasn't accepted in every other country. Some countries they were accepted, but a lot of countries weren't taking them in. So what they found out is they said, okay, it's better for us to go into the Catholic Church. Schroeder, okay, thank you, Schroeder. Okay, yeah, Schroeder is his name. Thank you for that. And so, and then you see later, you see Jewish faith people becoming Jesuits. Jewish faith people. And so Jewish faith people never lost control. And right now you see, as I was saying before, the Jesuits are the army against everybody. I will give that to you. They are the army against everybody except the Jewish faith people. They ain't against them. They work under them. They are the Jewish faith people's big army, worldwide army. So I don't think you have to sell your soul to get famous. However, it's definitely way harder to reach that without selling your soul. I don't know, because fame comes with that. Fame comes with that. And that goes back into when I talk about Rudolph Valentino and I talk about Jean Harlow, first blonde bomb, the first silent star, how they were both sacrificed. Jean Harlow died of a kidney infection, which she could have easily been saved for. Rudolph Valentino died mysteriously. So we've seen sacrifices for the very, very beginning. Now, one thing, when you study Crowley set up this whole sacrifice system. And then the Jewish faith people took it over. And that's what made Crowley a bitter old man, because Crowley thought, I'm going to be the king of this. I showed them how to do the sacrifices. I showed them how to sacrifice the children. So he thought he was going to be the king. Instead, they pushed his ass out. And so if you get some of his older writing, he tends to be kind of bitter about that. So Charlemagne interview Republicans first. Joey B tells them not black. If you don't vote for him, now you got Sister Girl trying to go off him here. Exactly. She said, don't sound like a Republican. No, we sound like people that pay attention. This old man. Now, Zach says something one time that has to be considered. Is this a guise of him playing the stupid old dude? Very well could be. Again, you have to look at every side. When you look at this cube, it's every side. You remember how the Rubik's Cube, you had to work with all of it to put it together? Well, when you study things, you got to look at every side of it, especially giving out information when you call yourself a teacher. You can't just teach. And that's the problem I have with some people. They don't want to tell you the dark side or the light side. They only want to tell you one side. And I think they're doing you a disservice. That's why I try to tell both sides. That's why I'm saying you can't talk just about the Jesuits and don't think Jewish faith people ain't all up in that. That's misleading, because they all up in that, and they guide it. They are the commanders of that. But yeah, Sister Girl is like, oh, he blew her calm though. And see, that's a no-no in politics. To blow your cool, that's a no-no in politics. And she blew her cool. And people hate her. Her own state, people hate her. They censor Crowley's books now. I'm looking for old editions. I am part of a group, and this gets a lot of alternate magic. And them books, 7,000-8,000. Why? These people, like my brother, probably, I don't even want to, his books, these books hold their value. Like my book of Clovis Keys, to the Magic of Solomon, retained. Let me see what I paid for this. I bought this book 4 or 5 years ago. This book is retained its value. I paid $90 from this book. It's worth that and more. It's still worth that and more. And see all the gematry people, gemancy, which is pendulums. Pendulums is a type of gemancy. And there's a part, let me find it. Yeah. There's this full tables of 16 geometric figures. That is part of it, which is very helpful as you look up stuff. And I'm trying to think, my brother brought up something else. Because what it'll give you is give you the geometric figure, it'll give you the Hebrew name, it will give you the Hebrew meaning, and it will even give you the Hebrew in writing. And this all comes from the Jumanji book. The book my brother brought up was I don't see it here, but it's one of the is it Angels Magic of Dr. D's Lucian Tables? Maybe not. And I put that other book back. I wanted to show this chart. Yeah, I wanted to show this chart. I didn't bring the book out here. And, I refer to this book all the time because, again, I show this. Because, again, if you have a living idea, this is a way to put the living idea to living in real worlds. That's what each one of these are, separate worlds. And then you get into the probability of your idea, the success, and what it would look like when you come down to here. But this is truly manifesting, and it's manifesting where your idea actually lives. And I show this all the time. That is the good thing about that chart. Oh, didn't she? Game of Thrones, any man who must say, I am the king is not a true king. Well, yeah, kind of. King, like if you go back into Julius Caesar and even Alexander the Great, like Alexander the Great went into India when they were attacking one of the castles. Alexander the Great, like when they put the ladders down, Alexander the Great ran up into the motherfucking castle by himself. He jumped the wall. He was fighting these motherfuckers by himself. That's where he took some of his injuries that end up taking his life. He's probably poisoned if he was a real person. But he went up, he went up in there like, fuck these motherfuckers, and started killing them motherfuckers. And he looked around, he was by himself. His men hadn't made it over yet. So, okay. Thank you, J.R. Smooth. Thank you. I am the vice president, definitely. But I was saying about Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar led from the front. He wasn't one of them generals that stayed in the back. When Julius Caesar was going after the ass, he was from the front. He's one of the probably most famous that did that. And then later we saw generals that led from the back. That was one reason why they killed Stonewall Jackson. Stonewall Jackson was strategically better than anybody in the North. I mean, if you look at the first battle is Bull Run, they are brilliant uses of artillery, infantry, and cavalry with Stonewall Jackson. And then Stonewall Jackson is killed on the turnpike after the Battle of Bull Run. He was assassinated by really his own men. Now, anybody wants to say how the Jewish faith people work, how the Jesuits would work? Probably that way. They killed their greatest mind. Again, Robert E. Lee was not for the South. He was not for the South. Not at all. He was not chosen. Like you watch guys and generals, they tell you that the North did offer him a position at first, but not the South. I think it was Johnston that was head of the Confederacy. But you watch some shit now, they try to lie about history. It wasn't until Johnston got hurt that Lee, at the end of the war, why do so many men simp over women and spend all their money on them, and when it never works out in the end? Hey, run it up, what's happening? I'm not going to judge any man, how any man does this pimping. I think that's the problem. Men don't really look at, pimping ain't just about selling women. Pimping is a culture of being able to be balanced with women. That's really how I've always looked at it. It was a certain style of finding full balance with women, not necessarily controlling, but it's like you have to be in a relationship. You have to be a master salesman. You have to sell yourself to this woman. You used to have to sell yourself to this woman and her family. You had to convince her family, and you had to convince her. And so now, this is what happened. We have a lot of dudes that just got that same power just because they had bread. And so people tried to mimic that. They saw a square get women, a square get women just because he had money. And so that's what we see. We see the copy of that. And now we see that's faded out a little bit. So here these squares are still thinking that if you just spend money on chicks, this is all the pimping you need. Ain't got nothing to do with how you dress, how you talk, how you think, how you make her think about herself, how you convey to her how much you feel about her. That's why the music, the love music was so beautiful. It gave you all these ideas of these loving words to say. What does he say? Something that I can't explain. You don't belong to me anymore, it seems. It's you that I need. I mean, where do you get these motivation? That kind of thing in young people's way of thinking, none of that kind of music is inside of your soul. So that when you with someone and you can give out this kind of poetry to win her mind, now you just win in her bank account. And that's what's happening. We got a lot of squares that's trying to have the pimp culture. And I don't mean human trafficking. I mean the culture of being a master of being a man. That's how I looked at it. You was a master of being a man. And you knew masterfully how to deal with women. But we have squares. We have squares. We have squares teaching squares. Just a year ago, she was on the Breakfast Club clucking up with Charlemagne and the other two. Now all of a sudden she acting brand new. That's a good point. Nepturial Queen, what's happening? What's happening? Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. And so that's part of what we see. There is a demeaning of men out there, but if you look at the role of the man's been demeaned. Just the role in television of the brother. And that goes back to good times. That goes back to really Claudine. You know, the movie Claudine. That goes back to that. We don't have manly man anymore. Especially brothers, because, again, what do they tell you? They tell you the brother is the gorilla man. The brothers can't be trusted. You got to be scared of the brothers. That's how they put it out there. They don't give you good examples. And even the sports personalities is the only time you really see manly men. But they can't wait to do like what they did to Westbrook. For a chip or a little bit of fame, wear a dress. Wear a dress. Hey, Olito, what's happening? Thank you. So they don't want you to be manly men. That's why they show you those visualizations. And don't give LeBron James off the hook. Remember, LeBron James was wearing the Lloyd Funtery shorts, knickers, and then he walked out the press conference with his short knickers, and then he walked out with a purse. Now, he may not have wore the dress, which he did wear the dress, I think, on Saturday Night Live too, but he had the purse. He walks out with the purse. That didn't look like a gym bag. This nigga had a straight purse, and he held it like a purse. Hey, Edward, thank you for joining me. Oh, thank you, Nepturial Queen. That's very kind. Hey, Edward Bailey, how you been? Good to connect with you again. And so, Edward was saying, the life of Mackin, the art of Mackin. I mean, these are things that young men should know about. Not how to just spend money on them. Because that's, again, we got squares teaching people. That's the problem. We got squares that got their way with a woman. They got the prettiest, lightest, whatever, however they judged it. And that was their way of getting it. To be used by a woman, but you paid your way to be used by her. And so we got squares teaching squares. So, and the Illuminati and the Freemasons are one and the same. Like a lot of people claim their theories completely contradict one another. As they say, Beyonce is, and women are not allowed in the Masons. Yeah, but they're Eastern Stars. They're Eastern Stars. And again, my best friend's dad was a 33-degree Mason, and his mother was the same degree Eastern Star. And they each, when they went to the conferences every year, for Masons. She went as well. The Eastern Stars and the Masons held their things together. So, yeah, man purse, right. LeBron had a man purse. So, so they don't like manly men. You know, again, Black Lives Matter, their thing was to break up the nuclear family. And they got busted. And look that video up where that brother's breaking them out. They took that shit out. But they don't want manly men. They want the feminine men. They want the soft man. They don't want the strong man. They want you to be soft. They don't want you to be strong. They don't want that pimp and Mac mentality. Again, it got nothing to do with human trafficking. Eternal life. Do you think scripting of the sacred ball game has trickled down to the high school level? I thought De La Salle won all those championships so long here in California. It's funny. We have a De La Salle here in Minneapolis. A lot of, I'll say this, and I've said this before. High school is affected by money too. And now you see in the high schools on TV, and as soon as you see a point spread on the high school games, it makes you wonder. Because if it's a point spread, it is fixed. But what game was I watching? Master P's son, when Chet Holmgren and Master P's son was playing at Minnehaha Academy. I noticed some of that old technology with the boom, 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 boom going in. So yes, but high school is really cheating refs. I mean, that ain't gonna never go away. Cheating refs. You know, I had to threaten the ref one time. He was cheating so bad when we were reffing together. You know, it was like he'd make a bad call, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a makeup call. And it was like we were almost fighting each other because he was reffing so bad. I wasn't picking sides, but this dude obviously was picking sides. And it's like, how do you even balance that when this dude is so blatantly cheating? And then when halftime came, I told him I was gonna straight up beat his ass. I was like, either I'm gonna beat your ass or you call it regular, because I don't know what his deal was. And you know, matter of fact, the dude left. I ended up reffing by myself. This is a high school game, varsity. So that's like all melanated people weren't allowed to be skull and bones, so they came up with the boule. That's a good point. And then later they did. You could find the first dude that gets into the boule or the skull and bones. Of course. There's a De La Salle in California too. Okay, in Kansas City too. Okay. But yeah, the boule definitely is the same arm. It's the same arm of getting these brothers and having them filtered out to see how the system can use them. Power comes from mind and soul. That's very diligent, disciplined, and focused. There you go. I was just looking to picture LeBron with purses. He's wearing a mask that says the future is on Mars. Sumerian. There you go. Good catch. That was a good catch. And so, like, I don't know if I've told this story. I was watching Ben Harbor play probably Portage Northern, Portage Central. Portage is a suburb of Kalamazoo. And they cheated, and the Portage team won the game. Don't you know, it was the only time in my life I saw the fans beat up the referees. The fans literally caught the referees, like Western Michigan had an indoor track behind it. So as the refs was trying to go to their locker room, the fans beat the shit out of them. And what was funny is they had, for some reason, they had like, you ever saw those fences that are real light plywood little planks? Man, them people had pulled them little planks off of that little fence and was beating these referees, and they beat the shit out these referees. That's why now in Michigan, when you have a game like going into the playoffs, high school playoffs, you see refs with police. And that's even what started kind of the college refs with police. But yeah, I remember that when I was probably in elementary, them Ben Harbor people beat the shit out the referees, beat the shit out of them. Mackin is about being authentic, real, and inner masculine, but masculine is the key. People reach way too often. People say LeBron has the black boule on his chest. If you compare it, looks nothing like it. It looks obvious like the line of St. Mark's Gospel. I don't know because intent. I think his intent. Now, I'll say this for what you're saying is boule is all about education. Boule is all about education. And here's a man that is not, has skipped education to get his fortune. So in some ways he would be anti-boule, because boule, like with all these college loans and stuff, they with that. but I think it looks a lot like the Boule. I see your point about St. Mark's, but and you could even look at it as Yadabath. You could also look at it as that too, because he's the lion-headed grotesque figure. So you might have a point there. Let me see, 137, if I can find this. Okay. Let's see. No, it's not here either. The Secret Book of John, it kind of goes like this. The Father of all called the one, the invisible virgin spirit, which they're talking about the divine Sophie, Priestess Sophie, the mother, divine mother, forethought of all, Barbello, called Mother Father, Barbello. That's the Baphomet. First human Holy Spirit, triple male, the divine child, self-conceived, the anointed, the four heavenly luminaries, Sephirin, Hamazol, Oriol, Devanthia, Eliath, afterthought, a heavenly son sent as revealer with connection to forethought, Sophia or Eve. Jeromus, Adam the stranger, the heavenly man, Seth, heavenly son of Grandamus, who all spring out of Satelian Nostrix, Sophie, divine wisdom from the aeons, Yadabath, also called Sakala, Samuel, child of Sophie, arrogant first ruler and creator of this world, authorities, power, Akrons, rulers of angels, demon, lackeys of Yadabath. That's not what really I was looking for, but just a little information if you're not really familiar with that name. 146. Because they describing, in one of these they describing. I kind of wanted to share what they described. Let's see. Maybe this is a little bit of it. Yadabath is the first ruler who took great power from his mother. Then he left her and moved away from the place where he was born. He took control and created for himself other realms with luminous fire, which still exist. He made it with the mindlessness in him and produced authorities for himself. The name of the first is Atheroth, whose generations they call the Reaper. The second is Harmus, who is the jealous eye, the all-seeing eye. Some other name. The fourth is Yabel, Adonis, which is also called the Sabbath. Cain, which is generation of people of the sun. Yadabath stationed 7 kings, once for each sphere of heaven, to reign over the 7 heavens, 5 to reign over the depths of the abyss. He shared his fire with them, but he did not give them any of the power of the light he had taken from his mother, for he is ignorant darkness. When light mixes with darkness, it made darkness shine. When darkness mixes with light, it dims the light and becomes neither light nor darkness, but rather gloom. The gloomy ruler has 3 first names, Yadabath, Sakal, or Samuel. He is the wicked and is mindless that is him. He said, I am God and there is no other God but me. Doesn't that sound familiar? I am God and there's no other God for me. He did not know where his own strength had come from. The ruler created 7 powers for himself, and the powers created as angels until there were 365 angels. And then it gives the name of the angels. This ain't what I was looking for either. But this comes from the Gnostic Bible. Gnostic Bible. Let's see. What did I miss here? Yeah, that's the Gnostic Bible. And get this one. This is the better one. The new edition probably even has the Gospel of Judas. And I don't know if anybody ever studied the Gospel of Judas. The Gospel of Judas goes into saying that Judas did what he was supposed to do. That Judas was really a hero. He did what he was supposed to do. If you read the Gospel of Judas, Judas is really the only one that obeyed God's command. Or if you look at Joshua as being the God being, this is the only one that obeyed him because this is what he told him to do. That's why there's a thing in there that says he only did what he was told. So it doesn't really make him out to be This is about the deep state power machine preventing nuclear black family from being regenerated, regenerative, and resurrected. Oh, that's a good way of saying it. Right on, Edward. That's why these males today are the way they are. You need a strong male presence in the home. Yeah. Yes, you do. A lot of dysfunctional black women are gender first instead of family first. Well, gold. A lot of them are goal first too. Their goals are more important than Cordell. What's happening? More important than that. Yeah, get that version, but make sure that it has the Gospel of Judas in it, because this is an older book. I've had this book. Shoot, I've had this book for 15 or 16 years. So get the version that has the Gospel of Judas and the Gospel of Judas and the Gospel. Yeah, the Gospel of Judas. The newer one should have the Gospel of Judas or Gospel of Mary Magdalene. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene is in this book. Yeah, this is from 03. This is from 03, but I didn't buy this book until 04. So this book was a year old when I bought it. But definitely get Barkstone is who you want to look at. Barkstone. But Gnosticism is still a Christianity. It's not Catholics, it's more Christianity. It's funny, like the spell book I showed, you read all these spells, and these spells are talking about, they're putting Jesus in it, the Father and the Son, but they're telling you spells. And so what they were doing is, because of Inquisition and not wanting to get messed up, they were putting all this Christianity Bible stuff in there, but they're telling you how to cast spells. So it's interesting. That other book, Spirits and stuff, how they tried to get around writing. Like I'll tell you, let me see if I can get this. What is it? Like the Treatise of Seth is an interesting kind of study. The Gospel of Truth. And this is kind of some good stuff. Let me see. 239. I'll just give you a little bit of it. The Gospel of Truth is joy for those who have received from the Father with the true grace of knowing, by the power of the Word who has come from the fullness and who is the thought and the mind. This is the one who is called the Savior, since this is the name of the work that he must do for redemption of those who have not known. For the name of the gospel is the revelation of hope, since this is the discovery of those who seek him, because the realm of all thought comes from whom it came, from him whom it came. You see all inside of him, that immutable, inconceivable, who's better than every thought. So this is kind of, and it says the gospel of him who they seek, which he revealed to be perfect through the mercies as the hidden mystery. Through him then lighted those who were in darkness because of forgetfulness. He has enlightened them and gave them a path, and that path is the truth that he taught them. I mean, this is from a brother called Valentinus, and Valentinus would have been the first melanated pope. And I think Valentinus was from Alexandria. So I have encountered many forms of cosmic and divine power: Omic, Native, Voodoo, Kemet, Zen, and Buddhism. There you go. Every time somebody comes at me with that Christian buttermilk biscuit, I remember Zhang Zi's story of the battle between the Sham and exalted Taos master, the Gourd master. It's like one woman said she didn't want to date me because she said that I had the only opinion. But what people have to realize when I talk to people, what I realize is I talk to them long enough to see what level they are of knowing. And once I see what level they are, I put myself in their shoes so they can hear me. And so I understand where they're coming from certain things. Like I was trying to tell her about really chakras. Chakras is not an old system. This is a system from less than 200 years. This is not ancient. And that was hard for her to hear because she had whoever was teaching her, she was learning about this stuff. And she says, well, you know, it's probably been around long, but they didn't have a name for it. Okay, I can see that. I can see that. But it's not that I think and I don't even want to say know it all. There's so much senseless, stupid shit that you don't want to know it all. I mean, that's what you have to understand about the way this thing moves is there's a lot of stupid shit. And they want you to know a lot of stupid shit. And so you don't want to know it all because they will try to fill your head up with a lot of stupid shit. This is just the way this system moves. It gives you a lot of stupid shit. So no, you don't want to know it all because you don't want to know a lot of stupid shit. But being a storm person, I have to lay it all on the line to people, especially if you're talking about dealing with me a lot. I know you are here, so I'm going to go all the way around you, and then I'm going to come back in a way you can understand, especially when we're dealing with each other. So that's hard for some people. So that's hard for some people. So, I don't mind. I don't mind my own company. I'm not going to be with someone just because I'm lonely. And I don't really, like I've said before, I don't understand how lonely feels. I couldn't tell you what lonely feels like because I don't know that lonely feeling. Like my ex-wife, both my ex-wives, they get lonely. I've told the story, and I hope my son doesn't matter, but my ex-wife shacked up with this. She's like just turned 47. She's about to turn 48. She was kicking it with this young boy because she had put her man out who was an alcoholic, and she had put him out after 5 years. She was scared to death to live in her house. And so she kicks it with this young boy for a couple of days. This young mother, and I've told this story before, this young boy steals a cat from the neighbors, steals the neighbor's cat, and then lies about it. Now, I don't know how he got the cat home. I don't know. And then her neighbor set up to get her TV stolen. So she's scared to death. She's nailing all her windows shut, but she's scared to death. She lives over on the north side of town. She lives in the hood. So here's this European woman that she's in her 40s. She still fights people, still gets in fist fights. And so, but she gets lonely, and she was afraid to live by herself. And instead of having my other son live with her, it's true. You want to know who you are ourselves, then the whole world. Yeah. Yeah. Steals a cat. What kind of weirdo? Exactly. Why would a dude? Because he had the window open and the cat jumped in and he kept the people's cat. And so the cat set her up. They saw her leave, and she saw the people that just got from the truck and just drove off. And she saw her window open where they had broke in her window. So she put that upon herself because she gets lonely. She gives her life to these people she barely knows. But that's been her whole life. She's made her life harder than what it has to be. And I mean, it's like this woman can no point in her life say she was a good parent. She really wasn't. I mean, do you know how hard it is for a man to get custody of their children? It's almost virtually impossible. But here I am, a melanated man against a European woman, and yet these Europeans gave me my children, my sons. Matter of fact, they have a thing called a guardian ad litem here that kind of works with the families, but was really kind of working for her. They were so scared. This guardian ad litem comes to court with a lawyer, because my lawyer just laughed. She said, "You know why she has it? Because she never came in court with a lawyer before. So when the final judge to give me my children, she had a lawyer with me, and my attorney elbowed me, and she's like, 'You know why she got that lawyer? Because they think you're gonna sue her next.'" That's what she told me in court. She said, "Do you want to go sue her?" She said, "That's why that lawyer's here, because they think you're going to sue her next." So maybe it was exotic cat worth a few shekels. No, it was just a damn regular alley cat. It wasn't worth shit. I had to holistic purify myself, fasting for 2 weeks, engaging in Amen have practice, solar plex practice, to understand higher dimensions of knowledge. That's what it does take. At the end of a fast, you tend to get the clarity. That's why I like She Legit. She Legit can kind of give you some of that clarity without fasting. That's what I like about it. It's a bitter. It's almost like where you find Himalayan salt, you find She Legit. It almost looks like a black tar. I need to order some more. But it really gives you a clarity that very few things can give you. You take this mineral, and your meditations become almost crystal clear. I mean, a really crystal clearness to your meditations. Your visions become even clearer. Your visions become even clearer. The mirror work even comes in a little clearer. So those are the possibilities for wherever, a person is at. But if you want to, open that channel up a little clear and get a little understanding, and there's all kind of things that you can take. There's all kind of stuff you can take, like say you are having these communications, but you aren't hearing well enough. There's crystals that you can use that will open up those communications. So say you are seeing these entities, but when you're seeing them, you see their mouths moving, but really they should be talking to you through telepathy. But that means that channel's not open for you. So you have to find a way to open up that. And so at first you'll hear it as them talking to you, but really what it should come when you meet entities, they ain't gonna be talking to you. Everything's gonna be through telepathy. So practice. The ancient practice of the Amen Men Aya practice, solar plex practice from the Amen priest is a lot more ancient than the chakra practice. Okay. Thoughts of dream manipulations device used on us. That's one of the things I always say is selenite in the windows. Selenite in the windows would block a lot of those energies coming in. But this I said this a couple weeks ago. I know how I sound. That's why I work with a lot of sounds, because I know, like, if I'm in a room by myself and I can shut off most of the noise, I know how I sound. And about a month ago, I'm in my room, and all of a sudden I'm hearing a completely different harmonic. And it's like this thing had to be put in the air, because I'm like, where did this come from? There was no pressure in my ears, because sometimes pressure will make the sound different. None of that. This was some type of pressure coming somewhere, or this was some type of harmonic put out there. So food, the foods you give can give us that, Anis. The foods that we take sometime can give us that. Television can give us that sometime, Denise. Television can give us that. Eternal life, excuse me. Television can give us that. And so I'd say put enough protection up there to block that kind of thing. This is the sad thing. Like, if you live in apartments, these things are so evil where they'll bombard you with sounds from the other apartment. And it's kind of, unless you really master your whole where you live, it's kind of hard to even block that kind of thing out. So my best thing is to put selenite in your windows. Sugarite in your room will help with that a lot, because sugarite will filter out almost anything. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can go as expensive as this. You could go as cheap. And this ain't expensive. This was no more than 10, 15 bucks. Or you could go cheap, the raw kind too. But this cuts a lot of that dream manipulation out. Even the devices will have a hard time through this. Sugarite should be near your cable devices anyway. Your internet stuff, sugarite should be near that. Now, if you want good computer speed, remember to move the sugarite slightly away, because I think what is slides, one of the slides for friends, can't think of his name, but he was showing how he caught his internet being intersected, his internet not being as clear because the sugarite was near. And I was wondering that, because I keep my pyramid, I used to keep it on the Ethernet box. So I moved it too. I'm not a fan of the hip hop group Roots, but Leonard Shepard proved that hip hop guys can play musical instrument. He was an Amazon example. Music theory, hip hop, rest to him. Okay, yeah, he's the guy that just recently died, and probably a Jimmy Fallon sacrificed as well. Because if you have a group that's connected to a specific celebrity, a lot of times you have to look at that celebrity as, you have to look at there being a sacrifice for that given celebrity. So keep that in mind. Pineapple juice energizes and decalcifies the pineal gland and the solar plexus. So does sun gazing too. That's the important thing of sun gazing in the long days. If you get up, like in May, if you start getting, because in May, I would get done doing shows like say 2, 3:30. 3:30, I'll start hearing birds chirp. And the sun, some days the sun was coming up at 4:15. Form Runner, thank you, Ryan. Yeah, that's what Form Runner said. Form Runner said that the Shugite was interrupting his internet feed to the house. Yeah, Form Runner. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for that. Oh, Lorenzo said too, you talk about Form Runner. Yeah, no disrespect to you, Form Runner. I'm an old man. I forget names sometimes. So no disrespect. But that's what he said. Form Runner has said that in. So I like it kind of moved mine a little bit away too. And I tell you, I still trying to find a way to like paint these little cards and send them to people, because a lot of times you can paint Shugite on cards, and I just haven't found a way to make it not as messy. Shugite powder is very messy, and I just haven't found a proper way to not make such a mess. Because really, it is a great thing to put Shugite powder and lotion. Oh my goodness! Like I would imagine you could make a mask. Women could make a mask to tighten wrinkles with Shugite powder. I'm pretty sure, because when I would put it on my hands, I could just feel it just firming the skin up of my hands. But again, both my hands would be all black. So haven't figured out a way to not make it so black, but make the Shugite powder effective. And it just, my cat, like the bag that I bought, the cat just took it off the table and just spilled it on my carpet. And it just made a big black mess. So I've got to find a way to make it, to find how to use it for it not to be so messy. And I haven't found that. One must have a practical understanding of true musicianship to understand the octaves of higher mysteries. It's like part of me, like all these singing bowls, especially my big singing bowl, I put that on people's backs sometime. And, you know, my tuning forks. And so like one thing, yes, that's what I was going to do. Glad you reminded me. One thing I'm going to do on the solstice is I'm going to bring my tuning fork out, and I think I can push out enough energy to tune everybody's auras. So I'll work on that. I don't know if the microphone will pick up the sound enough, but again, certain octaves you can't even hear. But I know I can push it out to you guys, so I'll do that. There's no vampirism or anything. It's just I'm gonna be sending sounds. Some of the sounds you won't be able to hear, but my intention is to help you help your aura be, protected for the solstice, and just give you some positive energy through sounds. And a lot of sounds you won't be able to hear, but I will tell you what the sound is, and I will send it through. So I'm positive I can do that. And so I'm going to bring my tuning forks out, because that's, people don't realize that your aura, your energetic field, needs energy too. And how do you feed that? People don't really talk about how do you feed this big energetic field that you have. And sound is one way you can feed all this. So I do want to get that out. That's one reason I love longer sunny days, gazing. Oh, yeah. Oh, and the other part of gazing is when the sun's coming down. That's a great time to do it as well. Yep. So catch it when it's coming up, catch it when it's coming down. But when it's first coming up, you can really gaze into it. And like he was saying he was saying pineapple juice, but also sun gazing can burn a hole through this. It really can, to get into your deeper knowing and your deeper awareness, because awareness is all you can prove is real. That's the one thing you can prove is real, is your awareness. Now, anything else beside that, you can't prove that. But your awareness is one thing you can prove. Like as I close my eyes and I shut up, I can still hear that inner voice. So that is the one thing that is real. That is one thing that is real. So, yeah. I did have some more notes. Maybe I can go through some more of my notes. Okay. One thing that the brother Bomber talked about, and it goes into a little bit of the Atlantean work. So if you study a little bit about Atlantis was supposedly so arrogant. I find a little Aryan work in Atlantis too. A lot of people say the Mayans, they try to connect the Mayans to Atlantis. Again, I think that the Omen and the Mayan were high technological people. I mean, the building of the Terrace Pyramid shows this. The going into Kemet and showing Kemet how to build the pyramids, but making them build the point pyramids, not giving up the energy of the terrace, because the greater energy can be achieved from the terrace than the point. Because Kemet teaches you to be under. That's why you can buy these damn copper pyramids that you're under. No, you want to be on the terrace. You want to be above. You don't want to be under the pyramid. You want to be on top of the pyramid. We didn't give up that work. But the Atlantean goes into where they put beings into crystals, or a crystallized being. That goes into Atlantean lore, that they wanted to find out how to put the consciousness into a crystallized being. And we are supposed to be the crystallized being that the consciousness was put into. So wanted to put that out there. I also, awareness is the only state that actually real. There you go. I used to think Leonard had a stick in his mouth. Then thought it was a black and mild. All I was doing was licorice. That's funny. But I just wanted to let y'all know I'm a little high, but I can still explain everything. I'm a little high, but I can still explain everything. Yeah, yesterday was kind of last night was kind of interesting. I was hit with some golden light, and it came from here. It came in, and again, just kind of it's like I talk about all the time, is the thing that you want to work on it. And this is one thing that you all can work on, and maybe I can send this out if I can find it. There it is. And maybe I can push this out. Again, no vampirism, but I want to say this is Tramadite, but I don't think that's the name of this. So I'm not sure what this is called. But from this same box, I hope it's looking purple. There we go. That's the true color of it. From this same box, my daughter picked out a piece from the big, like my crystal shop gives crystals to children. Every time a child goes in there, they can get a free crystal. So my daughter picked this out the box. She picked the smaller piece, like randomly picked the smaller piece of this stuff. This stuff was in a lot. So I got, but the smaller piece had to come from the same lot. Again, this is very brittle, very soft. But if you guys can see this, maybe you can do a little quick exercise since we do have the full moon energy. So I was holding the smaller piece of my daughter, and the first time this light back here, now the light is back here. There's a light back here in your awareness. That's again, when people talk about finding light in the dark, you actually end up having 3 lights, but to activate this light first. And it's funny, like you'll be moving through the ethers and then you'll look around and you can never see this light, but it's funny. It's like right there. And so maybe see if there's anybody I can turn on with this. And so look at this stone. And again, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it because the name that they told me, that's not it. And I haven't been able to find the real name. But this stone, if you can put this stone in your heart and you can just concentrate and see if you just see it turn on right behind your left ear, a light can turn on. So let's see if I can send this out. 3, 2, 1. Concentrate on my voice and concentrate on this purple stone and see if you can let this come into your heart to turn on your first light. And for those of you that can, I ask for nothing in return other than what you're doing now. But that's the potential of this. This is a great stone during the full moon. And so again, if you can put this into your heart, possibly it can turn on the light. Because what ends up happening is you get a light turn on here, you get a light that turns on here, and then there's periods where your third eye will come out here. And so you almost have like a pyramid shape of light that that will go, because there are times where you'll see your third eye come out and it will guide you. It'll be it's almost like a path. So like what you'll see is the 2 lights on the side will be like the boundaries of the path. And then, like they say, where you're following something, you'll be following the light of your third eye. And so it's almost like a path that emerges for you to follow. And so I'll give this out again. Might not do it for you, but I'll be working with this out later. And then there was another crystal. Where's the box go? I'll put it back in its box. There's another crystal, Japite it was called, and it was precisely to work with 3 days after the full moon. It was a crystal that you work with, and I end up missing it and didn't get it on Etsy, but it's something that you can buy. So yeah, omen teaching you to be on top of the pyramid. Yeah, that's where the terrace comes from. The omen, that's really like if you saw mounds, like this Sapiro mounds, is this right here? Yeah. So if you can like see how this mound was built, and when they were on top of this mound, there would be an altar up here. So all the people would be buried under here, and the altar would be on top. And that's how the pyramids is. That's how the mound. That's how the mounds were. You know, the terrace took the place of being on top of the mound, because you went from the mound to the pyramid. Like if you look at the oldest pyramid in the world, well, some say the Russian, the Chinese, but if we look at the oldest one in America, where they built that church over, they actually covered this thing with dirt. Like when the Spanish were coming, they made a mountain out of one of their pyramids. And the thing that the Spanish did, the Spanish used these vortexes, these power centers exclusively. Like when you're talking about pendulums and stuff and divining rods, that's why if you look at churches being downtown, if you look at Masonic lodges being downtown, this is why. They've done this work they knew where the power centers were. That's why when they would go in, like we were talking about, somebody mentioned Thanksgiving, when they would go into these eastern woodland cities, they would kill all the people, and they would keep enough people alive to find out where's the holy site. And then they would build a church over that. That's exactly what you see in Mexico City. Again, the biggest pyramids in America, the oldest church, the oldest building in the Americas is built on that pyramid. And this pyramid looks like a mountain. It is so big, it looks like a mountain, because they tried to hide it from the Spanish. So, discerning one, have you ever indulged in psychedelics? I'm on some psychedelics now, baby. What are the healing properties of platinum? I don't know. I don't know offhand. I really couldn't tell you. Maybe so. Maybe I can give you an explanation for that. Maybe I definitely can give you an explanation. She might have this in here. I don't know. She does not. I'm surprised. So I don't know offhand. I do not know that. Healing properties. Yeah, she doesn't have it. I thought sure Harmony would have it. Nope. And I'm sure he doesn't have it. I know he doesn't have it, because he works with various metals. So I don't know. I do not know. You have stumped me. And I don't think in my prescription Bible she gives. I don't think she gives a prescription to what platinum can heal. So I am stumped. I am stumped. I'm sorry. I am stumped. I do not know. Which one have you experienced, if you don't mind? The first one was LSD. You know, I took acid as a teenager, and I took acid well into my 20s. I've taken peyote, DMT, mushrooms. So I still say that of all of them, the LSD took me the deepest in, more so than the rest of them. So that's what I thought. Mushrooms, it's interesting. Mushrooms, I feel more groovy than I could say deep in experiencing. But even the DMT wasn't to me as strong as the acid. The acid seemed to expand my mind more than any of them. So, and I mean that the acid, like when you're talking about like what Bomber was talking about, when they're talking Jacob's ladder, when you were talking about moving through and and what Bomber was talking about is as you make yourself into like a transistor, as you make yourself into electrical particle, it's almost like going on an elevator real fast, and that's why they call it Jacob's ladder, because you do start seeing you as you move, like as your consciousness moves up higher and higher, it is almost like you're on an elevator and you're seeing that little elevator light come, and it's the same thing. But the way Bomber was saying is, as you put yourself into a magnetic kind of field or even a magnetic being, as you're moving through different time dimension, you see this space, even as a spark, you still see this kind of space that shows you it's changing. So no, I haven't found about mushrooms are more of a feeling. Yeah. GHP for such. No, I have not thought about that. No, but thank you. I'll try that. Or I'll look into it. I can't say I'll just try it, but I'll look into it. GHP, okay. But I had just smoking weed. I've had super good weed that made me light enough and pushed me through. So feeling earthy trip. LSD is more visuals. Oh yeah. I mean, LSD was it made that spin so light where it just, as again, it pushed me up so quickly and pushed me out where I'm there. Like sometimes when you break through to what some people call the real reality, sometimes you're in it and you don't realize that you're in it. And it's like, wait, because sometimes I know it hits me. It's like I'll get in a really high level and I'm like, oh shit, it's real. I'm in the real stuff. Because sometimes even, and you get like this even meditating, sometimes you'll be sitting there and you're laying, you're sitting, you got your eyes closed and you're meditating and you're still thinking. And then the next thing you know, like a cow will float by and you're like, wait a minute, am I that deep in? I'm still thinking, am I that deep in? And sometimes you trans and don't even realize you trans. And that's all it is it helps you trans better. So sometimes weed will do that for me. Weed will raise my vibration because again, you can take certain substances and you have so many toxins in your body, so much weight, and it's just you can't get light enough. You don't get enough spin pushed through. It's a little bit of Dan Winter's work talking about making yourself the light body, but it's a type of almost, yeah, it's a type of spin is the best way I can say it. A dizzy way of spinning. It's like, again, if you want to achieve this quick movement. And what's funny, when you get certain high, the way down is on the same kind of way. It's almost like when it comes off you, like if you ever slid down a ladder without being on the rings. So like you'll feel yourself climbing, and then you'll get at such a peak. And then you see that the peak, you ain't really going high. It's like when you meditate with a crystal, there's a certain time where the crystal gives you the peak of the experience. And then the crystal is just going to kind of mellow out from there. It's giving you the peak of what it's going to give you. But it's funny when you come down, a lot of times it's like if you just, let go of the rings of the ladder and you just slide straight down it. It's like you kind of experience going up. you come out, it'll be like, just holding on to that ladder without the rings and just fall. So that's a part of the experience as well that you could experience. Again, everyone is different. So, but yeah, found Bud will get me very easily into the trance, and that's what it's all about. It's like even transing like in a crystal ball. Sometimes you just need something. That's why I was saying I love this star sapphire, because at times I can trance into just this. I picked this one because it's so translucent. Then just the way it is, it almost reminds me of like staring or gazing in obsidian. It's almost very, but because what people don't realize, and the beautiful thing about scrying is you are transing with your eyes open, and there's very few things that can. And believe me, when you and what the hard thing is, and what I even had to teach myself is, I would just notice like everything around me would kind of just disappear. Like no better way to describe it is it would be almost like everything stood still. Like when they would say time would stand still. I guess I'll give you a better example. So when I would planet gaze, especially to Jupiter, when the real Jupiter was up there, I would have like this up, and it's a way where you can look to the planets and you can make the crystal double. Now you don't want your eyes to double and see two planets, you only want the crystal to double. And so you have this up, and you can even practice this with the moon, but you have this up to the moon and the crystal will double. And so what you'll see is your hand doubles. So your hand will actually double too. And what I noticed is when I was able to do this, if I would look around me, I would see the real reality of the tree spirit. I could see the tree spirit, and it changes colors and everything. But it was like I taught myself to be able to hold that, where I could look away and not just have to stare at the crystal to get this. Because what I was noticing is I would concentrate on looking at the crystal as I'm gazing at the planet. I started looking around me, and I was seeing the spirits of the trees. And so the skill was being able to hold this. And so even though I'm looking at here, I was being able to take my awareness away and then start communicating with the trees. Now I would say that is, you can gaze into a crystal ball or a mirror, and you can get that same in your reality be home. And you're looking and seeing some of this stuff almost kind of melt away. But like I'd look at my cats, if my cats were still in the regular state and they weren't traveling themselves, I would cats more and slower. It was funny how it kind of suspended time a little bit. And so it's just like holding the mirror or holding the crystal ball, and then I could gaze up. And it's practice. It's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of practice. But I would look up and I'd look at my cats and just see the room, and the room would start like, getting like this. And I'd look at the mirror and then, to refocus. And then I would look back, and it's like this reality would start getting like this. But it was funny watching the cats. The cats was like, because the cats astral travel. Like when you see your cats in the Sphinx position, not where they just knocked out sleep, but when you see them in the Sphinx position with the ears up, they're astral travel. Astral traveling. I'm sorry, I missed your question. What makes people DMT and PhD so much? They're exclusive in the sense of experience and results. Yeah, because I've had peyote that didn't really do anything. I just think people hear about stuff. It was because, the reason why the Europeans invented acid was because they couldn't take them substances and get anything out of it. It would not put them in the God head. It would not put them in the God realm. And so what they had to do, they had to invent the artificial stuff. And then when that gets into, you can get some of this information from Be Here Now. And you read between the pages, you can see this is happening. They're trying to take this stuff, and this stuff they're not getting it. And even the people in South America telling them, y'all not going, you can take it, but it's not going to take you where you want to go. And so once they started taking acid, and you had a generation of Europeans taking acid, they was able to take these other substances and break through. So the secret that the Americans was keeping from them, they artificially was able to use it. And then these generation, like their grandparents or their parents used it, it went down to where they could take either substance and it would break them through. But that's what it took. That's why LSD was promoted to them to help them break through. I had the out of body experience from Saliva Divinorum. Didn't last very, but it was everlasting. What's interesting is, and I found this, and it's like sometimes when you break through, you can have a lifetime. Remember, what was it called? Navia. Remember when they went into the closet? Remember Nardia when they went into the closet? When they went into the closet, they had a whole lifetime of experiences. But when they came back out, it was only like 20 minutes that went by in this time. So it's almost kind of like that. You bust through, and really you can have almost a lot of experiences, and it'll feel like a short time. It's almost like one thing I don't like doing that I find myself doing. Sometimes I trance too hard. And I trance too hard. And I'm almost in that sleeping, dreaming. What I've noticed is I'll miss a lot. Because of that. I'll miss a lot that went by me. And so you try to get that where you don't fall asleep, where you stay up. I have to fight it. But yeah, when you break through, and especially when you break through, you're talking about the divine original mother. When you break through and get to talk to her, it seems like you can have these deep conversations, and it seems like you guys talk for a lifetime. And when you come back, you only been transing for like 15, 20 minutes. So don't, didn't last long, but felt everlasting. There you go. There we go. Drugs wasn't always illegal. Only reason it became illegal, a mood of temperance swept the country. Congress passed the act and team ban opiates and cocaine. Well, if you really look at like hemp, and their argument is always the same argument was with cocaine. Opiates came more because of what was done in China, with people smoking opium. And opium didn't. Again, remember, if you see a person with an opium pipe, they laying down smoking, because heroin gives a beautiful dream. That's what they call heroin, is the drug of the beautiful dream. Because that's, you smoke opium and then you have these beautiful, clear dreams. Like, yeah, she legit will give it to you, but so will heroin. But again, it's so distorted because of everything done to the drug. But that's why a lot of people like heroin. It gives you that. Remember, weed, you can see some of these congressmen and these senators talking about and propaganda saying that brothers smoke weed, think they as good as Europeans. But when reality, all the natural healing remedies that hemp have, and that's why they wanted to get rid of it. The Rockefellers did not want all these natural, and then they want hemp taking over paper, hemp taking over clothes, and hemp taking over medicine. So the Rockefellers were behind banning hemp and weed. Yeah, this is a Viking hat. I got a purple one in this one. Yeah. When I went to see the Vikings play Cleveland, no one else had this hat. 70,000 people. No one had this. I like this without the European-looking Viking. Even though the new ones is kind of cool. Because remember, Vikings ain't a people. They try to show you the Vikings being blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. Vikings were a culture that a lot of people practiced, Like now I'm talking on this YouTube of a channel, and they're trying to say Leif Erikson and all that bullshit they want to tell you. As I said before, this book, The Mississippian Culture, shows you it's nothing but the Omen Mayan culture. The Omen Mayan went all up and down the East Coast. As I showed you with the Saparos, the Saparo people, they wore the earlobes. The earlobes is to protect the ears from negative entities coming to your coming into your ears. They would wear the nose piece. Once again, it was protecting your orifices. And so we know that the Omen were the ones that went the northern route. Now, when the Giants was alive, the Giants could just, it wouldn't, their ships were so big, it's hard to fathom how big the ships are. You think ships are big now. The Giants built shit out of wood, and this shit was massive. Of course, it's so long ago. So for them, it wasn't shit to go across the Atlantic Ocean because they're in this, 10 times big as any aircraft carrier. This is how big their shit was. But we know the Omen went around the northern route. That's why some people don't even think Columbus came that way. They still think people came the northern route and came down, because it's ships now that have a hard time coming across the Atlantic that way. But people had always crossed. But that's one of the ways. And so the Viking culture was taught by the Omen, and they knew how to take that northern route. So the video, that video, Kelsey and all Miss Tackle, so funny. They have to make things look real, of course. Hey, Barbara, thank you for joining me. That's like Latinos. It's really not it's a culture. Yeah, yeah, I could agree with that. It is. It's a culture. It definitely is a culture. Well, welcome back, Morek. It is a culture. It is a culture. And that's the thing about soul. Soul ain't a color. Soul is a culture. And, as they say, if you got any inch of a drop of melanated blood, that makes you melanated. But not only that, DNA shows you that you are melanated. That's all it takes. Yep. That's all it takes is just having a little bit of melanin in you. And that's what soul is. Soul is not a color. You can't put a color to soul. And what was the bookie called? The Soul of Black Folks. You can't put a color to that. That ain't a color. But I'll finish like this. It was interesting what Brother Bomber said. I'll say this in his defense. It was like he was saying, when Kwame Brown first came out, 20,000 people listening to him talk shit about other brothers. Other margin stars. Of course, Michael Jordan was the biggest one. But this dude wasn't saying anything really new other than the people he was talking shit about. But he's getting 20,000 people, and he ain't giving you no real knowledge. And he done lined himself with Judge Joe Brown. He done lined yourself with the girl that Trump pardoned. So you see his agenda. He ain't really for the people like that. And we know Judge Brown, his Mason Boulay ass, is not for the people. I would not be surprised that Judge Brown and Elaine Brown, who got Bunchy Carter killed, I would not be surprised if Judge Brown had his hand in that shit too, of getting John Higgins and Bunchy Carter killed. I would not put that past Joe Brown, because Joe Brown admitted being there, and he points the finger at Elaine Brown and saying that, she started the shooting. I wouldn't doubt that he had his hand in it too, and he had prior knowledge. Americans don't have culture. Americans don't have culture. Cohuba. What's that? Dambika. What's Cohuba? There's not a single person on TV for the people. No. That's why, when someone said to be famous that you don't really have to sell your soul or your single, that's not really true, because we see the people sacrifice because of it. Right now, rappers are the most sacrificed, and a rapper might have one hit song. And then you see a few months later he sacrificed because Lola come to him, and some people, one hit wonders is enough. For some people, just give me 15 minutes of fame and you can have, that's how easily it's sold now. That's how easily people give up their energy signatures. Just give me the 15 minutes of fame. Look at the show Teenager and Pregnant, how they was murking them young girls. Look at all the young girls that got hurt from that show. Look at the reality shows. And of course, we see the people on this that get murked. But you see a little brainless boy, they supposedly gave, let me take this back. Let me say this. You saw a little boy that was 3 or 4 years old that just was unwrapping presents. And you really want us to believe that millions of people care about that enough to pay that little boy millions of dollars. Oh, it's a cigar. Okay. No, I like acid cigars. I like acid Cubas. Acid Cubas. I like the sweet cigar. You know, I don't smoke them. I just suck on them. I don't know how y'all move. I'll say this: nicotine is woof when it kicks in. So we know that this ain't real. Like I about my best videos. My video on Andy Dalton get late cheap shotted did 62,000 views on my last channel. That video was shot with my Galaxy Note 10, whatever. And, you know, just like I do off the TV now. This is a much better camera, more sophisticated. I showed a catch where the dude caught the ball with one finger. That was, to me, the best video of sports I've ever done. I showed that player from Auburn catching the ball with one finger. He's holding the ball with one finger. Couple hundred views. My best show on my other channel before they killed it was Zach shared that Damon shot of the bye-bye shot against OKC. When Zach shared it, it did 100,000 views on his channel. But my point is, that's artificial. It's no way that 62,000 people in America cared about Andy Dalton getting hit late. I mean, there was nothing special about that video. Nothing other than Google people wanted to give me a little juice. That's what it was. Google people want to give me a little juice. And so we see how artificially they can push this. My daughter watches all these families. They watch a little girl play Minecraft. And we really supposed to believe that 50, 60,000 people, 1 million people want to watch a little girl play or a teenager play Minecraft. Like, look back at Brother Bomber's video, all that deep shit he dropped. It's like 16,000 people views when I looked at it earlier. It's like real knowledge just doesn't, people don't care about it. And Google does not push that shit either. I haven't heard much of Kwame Brown since the NBA season started. It was funny. Rob and that other dude from Detroit with the little ugly dude, he really is an ugly dude. And the light-skinned brother, I can't think of his name. Their podcast, they laughed at it. It's like, yeah, he got his 15 minutes of fame. Where's he at now? Where's he at now? Yeah, it was Ole Miss. Exact. Sorry. Yeah, thank you, Lorenzo. It was an Ole Miss player. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And thank you for guys to share. I be seeing, like, when I get the analytics sometime, I be seeing my stuff on these forums that I never share. So for those of you out there sharing my stuff, thank you. I appreciate it. But and I don't want to, fame. I went through my little thing of fame when I played college football. So that was cool. That was for then. Fame, that was for then. I don't want it. I'm glad my children didn't have it. At one time, that's what I wanted for my children. But as I get deeper and I'm like, ooh, I did not want to sell my children to the beast. And I'm glad. I'm glad that they are not getting sold to the beast. There's a way that you can play so far in sports, and then you get out of it what you need to get out of it. I've got friends I went to college with. We've been friends for 40 years. 40 years. Matter of fact, it's like 43, 44 years. I got a friend down in Fayetteville called me. We talked for hours. We've been friends since we were 19 years old. My other friend in Miami, we've been friends since I was 18 and he was 17. We 60. And we've been friends since we was 17, 18 years old. And we've been friends ever since. So I have long relationships. My best friend here, we've been friends for over 10 years. My best friend in Minneapolis. And I keep my circle small. I just don't gravitate to people a lot. And that's fine with me because I don't have to spread myself so thinly. So I don't mind that. I'm very I'm almost a recluse in some ways. Now I shop, I go out to the malls, I go eat, but in a lot of ways I'm a reclusive person and I don't mind that. Who do I think will be in the Super Bowl? I think they're going to let Dallas in this year. I don't think they're going to let Tom go 2 years in a row. I just don't know how believable it is for that 44-year-old dude to go 2 years in a row. I think that would show more of the fraud that is the NFL if they let him go again, like they lost tonight. He couldn't get anything going. All his weapons are hurt. And like this farce with Antonio Brown. This farce with this bug is all a lie for Joe Biden. That's all this new thing is. They told you when they made up the name that it's a cold, it's a flu that's less. But it's less, but it's more contagious. So a cold is contagious, very contagious. If somebody in a cold is in your car and got a cold and sneezing and shit, you're gonna get it. But are you gonna die from it? Are you gonna be gravely sick? No, you're gonna be blowing your nose, sneezing and shit. So it ain't nothing to be freaking scared of. And the same thing now. They lie and say all the beds. Again, I live an hour from the best hospital in America, probably the world, which is the Mayo Clinic. They got motherfuckers from all over the world. If they can't figure some shit out with a person, they fly them to Mayo. Let me get close. Mayo is not full. When they talk about Minnesota, the hospitals are being full and the ICU beds, you know what they're talking about? Minnesota, what is this state? 10 million people, maybe? And 3.5 million live in the Twin Cities? No, I think it's 5 million people in the state and 3.5 million people live in the Twin Cities. So the rest of this state is very, very sparse, very small cities. So what they be talking about is one of these little towns with maybe 10 ICU beds. So you take 15 little towns that each got 10 ICU beds, and then they tell you that 80% of the ICU beds is filled. This is what they tell you. 10%, like these little small towns that might only have 10 beds. And then they're like, well, these beds are all full. They ain't talking about Mayo Clinic being full, Mayo Clinic being overrun. That's a hospital city. I'll say that again. Mayo Clinic is a hospital city. The whole city is just basically of Rochester, Minnesota, is Mayo Clinic. Hospital city. It ain't overrun. Hennepin County, the hospital in the hood North Hennepin, I think it's called. It ain't full. Ain't none of these major Twin Cities suburbs full. See, that's how you got to learn how they lying. But to answer your question, I think they're going to push the Cowboys through. Pittsburgh, well, they're trying to highlight young quarterbacks. This is the year of highlighting the young quarterbacks. That's why I don't think they're going to push Brady through. So I think they're going to push. I think it's going to be a rematch of when Dak went. Remember, Dak's rookie year, what was it, 11-3, 11-4? They only lost 1 or 2 games, and they lost to a lower seed Packers team. Well, this year I think Dak gets over the Packers. I think Dak is going to beat the Packers and be in the Super Bowl. And I don't even know if Tennessee is going to make the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if Baltimore doesn't make the playoffs. Looks like Buffalo is floundering. I'm trying to think. Young quarterback is in the AFC. And I'm having a blank. But I think that's what's going to happen is a young quarterback is going to come out the AFC and lose. So Lorenzo said, you've been saying that from the very beginning. There you go. No virus has been isolated. There you go. Gematria stuff is confusing me, but are the significant of the rituals for the game? But what are the significant of the rituals for the games? Gematria stuff is confusing me, but what are the significance? Well, what Zach points out, see, Zach, this is what, and I'll say this to them. Zach talks about gematria like it's the only thing. And if I said before, when Jack started off, he talked about them peoples. them Jewish faith peoples as being the major evil of the world. Now he's the buzzword Jesuits. This is their new buzzword. Gematria has a part, and there is a point where them peoples use gematria to communicate the ritual. It does seem like, and I'll agree, it does seem like they have to put it out there. They have to put it out there. It seems like that is part of this game because they make it like a game. They have to put it out there, and people that can pick up on it and see the rituals as it goes through. And something he points out is the same numbers come around the same rituals. Like going into the bowl season for football, it's not surprising we see ex-football players, especially most football players, almost all football players had to college, but we see the deaths. So before any kind of championships, like what was it, 3 years ago, the 2-week period of a Super Bowl, I think we counted something like 22 deaths. Matter of fact, the Super Bowl when the Eagle won the championship, it was something like 20 deaths, sports-related deaths. And that wasn't enough. If you guys remember, a basketball player and his wife got killed the night of the Super Bowl. That is how deep in blood this beast needs. Because again, they corrupt the sacred ball game. They corrupt it. So through their corruption, they need blood. These are blood demons. Blood demons are dangerous. They're blood beasts. I don't even know. Even the demons, because again, I've said this, I think I've coined it, demons can do good work too. Angels can do dirt. Remember that. Angels can do evil. So, so that's the significance of it. They have to tell about the evil deeds they do, I guess. The significance is that numbers are one of the oldest forms of communication and vibrations. Well, what do they say? In the beginning was the word, and the word was a number and a color. You can find that. In the beginning was the word was a number and a color. Yep. Patriots, Bucks. That might be it. Patriots, Cowboys, James. I would say Patriots, Cowboys. And Jones will lose this one. However, again, they want to show Belichick as being the greatest coach of all times. So don't be surprised if the Patriots beat the Cowboys or the Patriots win, to show that Belichick is just as great without Brady, because they had 2 years of shaming, or a year of shaming Belichick. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots won. But my guess is they're going to highlight Dak. They're going to repay Jerry Jones. Salute. Sorry. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me, Necessary Evil. Blood is the original manipulation of mind, awareness, and energy. But thank you for joining me, Necessary Evil. That is very kind of you. Why are the elites obsessed with pedophilia and gay sex rituals? Because this is what's practiced. Like you said, this is what's practiced. They need the fear of the child to help them live forever. So that's why they want to use the androchrome. That's why they want to kill the child in his most fearful state. That can help people live longer. Again, sex is a natural, beautiful thing. So they have to corrupt it. Not only do they have to corrupt it, they have to make it gross as they can make it. And as I said before, all that comes from the divine spirit. You can almost say that came from the divine Sophie, that she created porn. And at first she liked porn because she liked seeing the sex, the natural sex. But as this thing became gross, even her, it turned her away from it. Because at first, when you could pop the tape in, and she didn't even mind the little jack stores you could go to, the quarter machines, you could put it in quarters and watch, porn, or you could put the quarter in, 50 cents in, or $1 in, and it'd show you a naked chick behind the plexiglass. She liked all that shit when it was like that. She was, divine spirit, feminine was with that. And even when porn first started being where you could buy the videotapes, well, the shit became grotesque. And even the grotesque, but again, when you start the wheel of something, even her can't stop what it is now. So that's why porn is banned in some countries, the corruption of it. Some people can't just look at porn. Some motherfuckers look at porn and then run away and got to act on it. Let me say this one thing that television kind of grosses me out. I've told this story before. All this weekend, they've been showing that John Wayne Gacy shit. Now, if you guys know, I've told this before. I was home one time from college, maybe in the summer stuff, and I saw the Welsh family. And I was, hey, Bobby, how you doing? And I was like, no, Robert. He had a brother named Robert. And I was like, hey, Robert, how you doing? What happened? You know, how's Bobby doing? How's his sister? Because I know his sister had a baby like in 8th grade. And so he was like, looked at me odd. And he said, Bobby's dead. He's like, Bobby got killed by Gacy. And I was taken back. Now, Bobby Welch, he got killed when he was in 8th grade. We were in 8th grade. But Bobby in 8th grade was probably 4'9", 4'10", little short guy. Yeah. And not heavily built short guy. I mean, really short, maybe 5 foot. No. Bobby in 8th grade was probably 4'8", 4'9". But I don't know what happened to him. Again, I mentioned his sister got pregnant when we was in his sister, when we were in, I want to say his sister got pregnant going into 9th. She was probably 13, 14 when she got pregnant. Janet was her name. But she was a year older than us. But Bobby was taking acid that young. I mean, just seeing him fucked up all the time. Again, Kalamazoo is only about 2-hour drive from Chicago. Straight shot, 2 hours, I-94. Go west, you run into Chicago. Bobby hitchhiked in Chicago and got killed by Gacy. Bobby was one of the bodies not buried under his house, but the last people Gacy killed and buried him around the lake. One of the lakes, I forget, one of the lakes. But what was chilling was when they showed Bobby's 7th or 8th grade picture. I've caught the trials one time where they show, one time they showed his color picture. Since then, they showed a black and white, but one time they showed the color picture. And I remember that picture being in my yearbook. But one thing interesting about Gacy, when Gacy got caught, he said, who else got caught? Like he was doing it by himself. So, oops. So, Porne is corruption of the power of Sophia, Sikat, wisdom, complete mastery of one's sexual energy. Their family needs a movie. That's funny. Oh, that is funny. Their family needs a movie. Yeah, it's sad what happened to them. I am a Raider fan, and I know Raiders were scripted using our receiver, killed someone in a car accident. Yeah. Raider fan. My teams were, again, I go back to the AFL, NFL, and my NFL team has always been the Eagles. My AFL team was the Raiders. And so when we had the Super Bowl where the Raiders and Eagles, it was like where both of my teams that made it. So, and that car accident, straight up ritual. Rambo, Zach's guy, Rambo, broke down the neighborhood. And they want you to believe that in a regular neighborhood, he's going 150 down a neighborhood. When you go 150, do you know how quick you're going a quarter mile? You're going 2 or 3 blocks within seconds. And he's in a neighborhood that believable, not believable. I don't get psychopaths. A lot of these people born without a soul, or are they possessed by demons? It could be a little bit of both. It could be both. Yeah. Oh, Teddy Bridgewater got hurt again. Wow. Like when he got hurt, he took a step, and it makes no sense that he took a step and tore, you know, how you can cut a person in their leg and cut that main artery. He broke his leg so bad that whatever he did to take that step when he played with the Vikings, it cut that artery, and he almost died on the field. So yeah, practice. So Teddy Bridgewater season injury again. Wow. To answer your question, sometimes they're born as that. See, this is what they don't tell you about reincarnation. Evil can reincarnate too, y'all. Ain't just like the good is reincarnating. There's opportunity for that evil to keep reincarnating too, just to keep doing evil shit. Matter of fact, evil would rather, evil likes evil. Evil likes to reincarnate so they can keep doing the same evil shit over and over again. And so what we think is evil is what we think is grotesque. They revel in that. They revel in torturing in people. And again, we got step-ins. You know, person will open a portal up and step in and like that feeling of the step in. Person will do a little bit of research and open up a porthole for them and then start being stepped in. And then they'll do that evil shit and then the step in, the step out. And you got the person, you know, that was actually had something driving this mass murder. And this system likes mass murder too. Mass murder sells. Mass murder sells. Remember that. Everything is reincarnated. No, I don't agree with that because you don't have to accept that. You can get off it. You can get off it. You can get off it. Now, if you're saying that like whatever you do to your body, as far as you in your body, yeah, that can be used to grow again. You know, if they throw your ashes somewhere, that can fertilize something and you can grow again. Even if they bury you in a box, a lot of life can come from that. But for the people that truly work on their awareness to get up out of here, that's the key. When Dr. Valentine talked about a prism planet, the key is to get out of here and go create your own reality, your own, you know, generation, your own. Well, like it goes back to this. Every person wants to be a planet. Every planet wants to be a galaxy. That's how you should look at it. Every person wants to be a planet. Every planet wants to be a galaxy. And the goal should be to you create your own galaxy. That would be the ultimate. Not reincarnate in somebody else's galaxy, somebody else's world, somebody else's reality. The key is to doing that, you being the sun for the galaxy. You giving light and life to this thing. I think that's more of the goal. Yeah, don't go to light. You into the simulation. What's going on? Hey, Bernetta, thank you for joining. Feel like I'm in a new dimension. I got done watching Prison Planet 3 times. Wow, Chris. Wow. You died 3 times. Okay. It's like my uncle, I was choking. I probably tried to, when I was like 4 years old or 5 years old, I tried to swallow a cherry and was choking, dying. And my uncle saved me. There's a reality where my mother saved me by her pinky toe. I was going down a hill on a bicycle and it was going to be going into traffic. I looked back at my little cousin that ran in front of her car. Brain damage for the life. He was 6. Is it the parents' fault? Not really. It's hard to control another person like that, even a child. I mean, every instance. I've said this before. I know guides help me. I was racing a guy on a bike, and all I knew was when. And in Kalamazoo, there's a road that leads to the highway, but you're still in the city, but it leads, so there's no stop sign lights. And I rode across, and I know I had some kind of guide help because whatever barrier these cars hit, they stopped at the same point. I remember making a note, and I've looked back at that experience that something stopped those cars. I should have clearly been hit by not one, but 2 cars because I ran right across. And I remember seeing the cars hit their brakes, but they hit their brakes and came together. And it was like there was no skidding into me. It's like something stopped them before they hit me. And I know that had to be some kind of guide work, had to be some kind of ancestral work. If we are the creator, isn't it a waste of time to believe in reincarnation and the demiurge? If we are the creator, isn't it a waste of time to believe in reincarnation? Yeah, it kind of is. Kind of is. You don't accept it. You don't accept it. Because that's like one thing, a good point that Bomber made is you are the God man. I mean, you are the creator. So, you know, why wouldn't you want to take your consciousness and see how you could create it all? See how you could create all your universe. and we have every right. But if I've said before, what religion gives you is that false thing. And if I've said this many times before, what religion will give you is you die, you'll see Jesus, you'll see what I call WH Jesus. Yeah, I'm not going to say the H, just I don't offend anybody, but the WH Jesus, which is very funny when you hear somebody say it, but the WH Jesus, and he or a family member, because that's the way they fool you too. They'll put a family member there to guide you into the light, and you'll be sitting in your castle, in your Christian castle, and crosses everywhere, and then all of nowhere they'll say there's something at the gates, and one of them things that suck up energy will eat that illusion you live in, and that illusion looks more real than this, and it'll start just, and next thing you know it, you are just in space, just a little energy signature in space into nothing. And the first thing you do is the next thing you see come by, you'll try to stick to it. So you have purpose, because that's what you're taught. You're taught that this Jesus is supposed to be there, and what you could set yourself up to and set yourself into is some kind of energy thing that's going to just eat you. And then you'll poof away. And that Jesus ain't going to save you. Allah ain't gonna save you. But that is what they lead you to. That is what they lead you to. Now, yeah, guess there's no more to say about that. That's what it can lead you to. Why we want to play our own game? Exactly. I just saw in the High Sports Center. I missed it. Getting carted off on the stretch. Okay, I'm sorry for Teddy. Yep. Why wouldn't we want to play our own game? Religious corrupts your reality. Yeah. And there is evil's kind of hard to describe, but there's wicked. I would say that. There's wicked. And there's a lot of wickedness. Yeah. Wicked. The goal of the mystery school is to be a creator, supreme being, and ultimate reality. That's like, again, I am no kind of way a Pan-African. I don't really I like Hathor because Hathor is a direct copy of the original goddess move. That's why I like Hathor. Hathor is a direct copy of I forgot my point. That's like one part of you read through all of Mayat. One thing Mayat does help you practice is it teaches you to be emotionless. So it does give you that consciousness of being the lucid liver. Lucid living is seeing the play but having no emotion with it. It's like you all are just seeing a movie and you have no emotional tie to the movie. You're just moving. You're the observer. You don't have to have any emotion, because that's what this thing does. Is it puts shit on your phone. It's just putting all this shit to grab you in, grab you in, pull you in, grab you in to make you feel emotion about it. I mean, why do you think so many melanated people in America was looking at Biden as their savior? Because he was hitting their emotional. Look what Trump, he racist and he all this, and yeah, Mike, he just gave Herschel Walker about 50 million when he played football. He had all these fights with melanated people in his casinos, but people forget about all that. He's got pictures. You got pictures with Trump with OJ. So everybody. But anyway, people were looking at things with emotion, and they were letting emotion control them, and emotion control their votes. Oh, like people used to look at Barry. And I remember laying up with a girl. He's like, "You can't tell me anything about my black president." I'm like, okay, he's melanated, but he's Jewish faith too, honey. And he hasn't done anything for us. He was a faker. Barry was a faker. He faked everybody out. There was no people, what were they saying? Hope? There was no hope with Barry. Seemed like things got worse when Barry was running things. And that was the same thing with Sister Girl. All these women wearing them pearls and chucks, they ain't wearing that shit more, are they? They're embarrassed by her because she's shown to be incompetent. And I don't think her incompetence is a role. I mean, you hold your way. You was with Brown's hole. So what did people expect from her? She was educated freak. You know, she was an educated freak, but she was a breakdown, bust down girl. She was, sister girl is no different than Kim Kardashian as far as being a bust down, a person that went through people. Athletes go through them. That's what she was. And you expected great things for her. She didn't even use her real name, Emoff. She's got Jewish faith children. She's married to a Jewish faith person. And here all these people is like so sister girl, who ain't even, you know, she is a Indian person, dot. You see what it says, that colored fella? That's what my birth certificate says, colored. Her shit say Caucasian. That's what birth certificate shows, Caucasian. So, hey, Liquid Fire, thank you for joining me. The Mystery School is a multidimensional institution. Part of the path is going to access your Akashic records. And people that aren't familiar with Akashic records, look at the movie Soul. And remember movie Soul, when the little thing was taking him and they were seeing, like he was seeing past life experience. It can be way deeper than that. Actually, if you can truly get into them, you can see a lot of ancestral information too, and ancestral secrets that the family has kept, that's in the DNA. Like I said, my ancestral records I'm used to doing it, but it is really just kind of things. It's like, for some reason, it's set up where, I don't know if people are familiar with old paper, the way newspapers are made, but newspapers are made on these belts that go 3 or 4 stories through every floor of the production of papers. And some reason, this is what they gave me. And so there was a place to quality control where you could look at the paper and see it, that the prints are coming out. And this is kind of how I have to go through my Akashic record. It's like I'm looking at this little cutout, and I really have to kind of look through the information that way. And that ain't all of it. It ain't like it's just all in this cutout. So I can go so far at this part of my family, of my ancestral line, then I got to get down, climb down, and then I've got to kind of float over to the next part to do the part over. So it's quite a task, but yeah, that's kind of how it can be done. How with the things you would see after meditation when you first started. I just think like my first deep experience prepared me for so much. Like I first left my body as a teen. And so that experience, the rest of my life was trying to make sense of what happened that night. And as I was saying, sometimes when you break through, you're like, wait a minute, it's to get real. And so I've never like nothing, like when I started reading the Book of the Dead, it says you find agreeable and you'll find non-agreeable. And so you can look at the most grotesque looking thing. That thing never really spooked me. Like I said the other day, I was visited by an angel because I saw the plasma blast. So I was like, oh, okay, there's an angel around. I was a little slow. And so I was like, oh, so I was like, who is this ugly mug? And the angel was like, why are you calling me ugly? So I've never really had that grotesque, or no, I'll take this back. I've never looked at like a non-agreeable entity as so that it just shook me. I've never had that experience. So even as when I first started, because a lot of times, a lot of people will that just come in as just eyes or a big giant head. Like I talk about the Divine Mother, she just came to me as like a super giant head where I'm like just barely a pimple on her face, and I'm like nose to nose with this big giant head. And again, you know, even that, you know, I just understand that. Or like I'll be moving through, and then all of a sudden there he is, and she's not as a big head, but it's like I'll be moving through something, there's just a head, and then she'll start talking to me. And I'm like, okay, you came through like this, and it just catch me off guard. I'm like, oh, okay, here you are. So I don't know. None of that has ever bothered me. Bust down. What are dreams? I've said this, and Bombers never really got into this, but I've said this from my experience in working with the dream screens. Now, there is a realm where you can see everybody's dream screen. And I've seen more than one, but there's a realm where it shows you can go into the dream screen world and you can see where a person is laying there. And there's a screen about 2 or 3 feet above their, there's a screen a few feet above your feet. It's like if you were laying with your back down, the screen is directly above your feet. That is where your dreams go into. Now, if you go into Jung's work, you go into Freud's work, why some dreams come. Now, lucid dreams, that's really where you want to push to, is where you're in control of your dreams. I have a dream book and I'm pretty good at interpreting dreams. People will come to me and ask me, and I'm pretty good at breaking down dreams. It's hard to say when dreams pop up. I'll say this. I think that we are such spiritual souls where even when we sleep, we have a natural ability to still be spiritual. And that's where dreams come in. Because remember, dreams, we don't need air. We don't need anything. You can eat in your dream, but you don't need to. And so it kind of shows you in some ways your powers, because it shows that you don't need to eat, you don't need to drink. There's really no barriers that can stop you, especially once you go lucid. You can get so good lucid where you manipulate everything in there. Now, I've had lucid dreams, fuckers be tripping and stuff. I'm about to get you. And I'm like, how are you going to get me? And I'll back fly away. Like, you can't get me. And they're like, why? Because I can just fly away from you and give you the finger. I'm fly away. And the motherfucker's like, damn, how did you know? I thought I had you too scared to do anything. So it's a way to, some of it pads your ego too. Some people are so egotistical that they need that extra pat on the back that they get from dreams. Yeah, I guess that's as deep as I can go into it. Any tips on how to strengthen the visions in your minds? Eyes closed, see images, but consistently happening and not too clear. Again, she legit will make them clear, but I'll tell you another thing too is it won't quite do it to the point of she legit, but it helps is 95 or 100% chocolate kind of helps in that realm too. Bitters seem to help in that realm. But the main thing is just to keep at it. Keep at it. Keep at it. I'll say this. If you are into visions, mirror work helps with visions. Like the more mirror work you do, the more visions, well, at least in my case, the more mirror work I do, the more visions I have. I noticed that if I'm consistently working with mirrors and my crystal balls, my visions come a lot more. And just consistency, just consistent meditating, learning to trance too. And as I was saying before, sometimes you don't even realize you trance because you be done trans, you still thinking about, what's wrong with your car. And you are fully transing. And what happens is when you trance, the shit will start coming in and you're thinking about how to fix your car and you'll be full trance. And here's all these events coming in front of you that's for you spiritually, but you don't realize you're in a trance and you still thinking about the damn fixing the car instead of clearing that away and looking at what's presented to you. Because that happens too often where you are transing and you don't realize it. And so you are not paying attention to what's coming in, what you're creating. What it comes in is, but again, as I was saying, if you haven't heard older work, one of the first things you see is the golden ratio. It looks like when you first start, you'll start seeing something in the middle doing this. And it looks like a big mushroom that's rotating. And at first you'll be like all around it. You'll be like, you won't feel too comfortable being far away from it, but you'll still see it because it kind of is soothing by doing this. But on the other hand, you don't want to stay stuck in that. You want to get above the golden ratio. You want to get above that vibration. I mean, it can help you center to see it at first, but eventually you got to get above it and stuck in just that lower realm of knowing. And so but consistently just keep at it. That's the best I could tell you. You can try the bitter chocolates. If you know, I don't sell any of that She Legit, I don't sell any of that. But it really makes things clear. It really does. It really does. It really will make those visions clear. When you trans, it will come in a lot clearer. So I have an ugly ass 8-foot iron with a mold in his pits, pale as death. Oh, okay. Ugly 8-foot arms. Wow. Okay. I almost stick to my, you know, what I am, a demon woman's, you know what? I had teeth. Oh, okay. Comes with meditation, crystals, plus breathing work. I was wondering, yeah, I mean, crystals can help people too. It can help give people a push. I work with several crystals. Again, you know, I work with harmonizers. You know, I'm sorry I didn't bring my harmonizers up here, but harmonizers are any crystals that are shaped basically the same. Trying to give you an example, like this Popolite pyramid and this piece of Shugite. You could technically harmonize with these. And what Shugite will do is, this is a scrubber. So this will scrub any unwanted attachments on you. And then this is the ultimate filter, even when I have Shyrite in one hand. But harmonizers is a way to start to flow. Because I know when I pick up my harmonizers, I'll start feeling that flow of energy. I think working with harmonizers helped me accept acupuncture, because I notice when he's like, he'll hit me right here and he hit me right there. And because of harmonizers, I'm able to feel that energy passing through my hands. I'm able to actually feel it. And I only say harmonizers because if you don't feel anything is happening when you're meditating, if you work with harmonizers, you can feel the energy going between your hands, and it might show you that something is happening. So I guess that's the best advice I could give you. But yeah, crystals definitely help. Crystals can kind of give that push, but crystals come with their own, what they do too. That's why I buy crystals with purpose. Now, when I first got into crystals, I'm just buying anything. But as I've got honed in and true communication with them, I buy them for purpose. I buy them for purpose. Do I have the paper? Let me see. Let me see if it's in this stuff. Oh, that's what I was looking for. That needs to be up there. Sheila, where is the paper? I used to keep. Is this it? This is not it. Does anybody know how to spell that? Can you spell that for them? Because offhand, I don't know how it's spelled. Oh, it's new and exciting. Well, you're welcome. Sell shrooms in local areas. Who sells shrooms in local areas? I'm not sure. Let me see if there's one more way I can find it. Give me a second. I can grab this spoon and see if the spoon has the name on it. Let me see. It's... Nope. Nope, I don't have it. I'm sorry. I don't have the spelling. I'm sorry. I don't have the spelling. I guess in conclusion, I want to read my soul. I want you to look at this outfit. Now I got a brother that owns a store and he has designer shit in there, and I think this is fake Nike. I don't know. I just got that feeling. So read my soul. If you ever see this, let me know. I think this shit is fake Nike. Now I know these color schemes is kind of in style, but I don't know. I think this shit is fake because he was showing me designer shit, and he's like, "Well, I sell designer stuff, and I have name brand." I don't know. It's supposed to be that dry fit, but I don't know. So read my soul. If you ever see this, let me know if this shit is fake because I think it is. I ain't pay that much for it. I ain't mad, but I think it's fake. So I'm sorry I don't have the She Legit information. I'll tell you what, just leave me a comment. After the video's over, leave me a comment. Oh, there you go. He spelled it for you. Thank you. Thank you, Conspiracy University. He spelled it for you. And you can get eBay. You can get it on eBay. Get on eBay. Now the drops is probably the easiest way to use it. But the drops are like $70 for a bottle about so big. You can get the sticky black gummy kind. If you drink coffee, it really mixes well. You can even put it in hot cocoa. That's another way if you get the sticky kind. But you got to really break it up with something warm, generally. You want to really break it up and mix it good so it gets in the whole thing. Doesn't take much. Just to give you an example on how much you need to take, let me show you the spoon. So if you do get it in the sticky kind, it looks like this. It's still on here. Well, let me see. See that? It looks like that. But this is all you need, a spoonful like this every day. Not much. It still got some up there. See? But just that little bit, like a drops, you only need a few drops. Oh, they have it on Amazon too. Yeah, they have it on Amazon and eBay. But eBay has the drops. All good. My team knows I'm just fucking with you. Just ask me the last time you watched him. I had to take media breaks. Plus, I like seeing on the TV screen. I can't leave a comment on the TV. That's a good point. But tune into Conspiracy University too, because he's aware. He's aware. And he's a thinker, and that's what I like. That's the people that I like being around. Is I like thinkers. Oh, Conspiracy University. What do you think? You know, and I don't say this to try to sell gold or anything, but as I was saying before, and I want all you people younger than me. I'm 60. I'm just telling you, if you want to help your acuity, you don't have to spend a lot of money, but get a gold chain. Get a gold chain because you want the gold as closest to your brain as possible, because gold is one of like silver and copper will go inside and help your skin and help your insides, but only gold will help you with your acuity. Now, I'm a firm believer that Motivite and gold together, you are helping yourself. I noticed when, like, I used to wear the big heavy pendant when I'd hurt my knee. I had this, because I've got a big pendant like this Motivite. I had to quit watching it when I hurt my back and hurt my knee a little bit. I had to quit wearing it. But I could tell the difference when I only wear one piece of Sugarite compared to when I would wear two. I just felt so much brighter wearing the two. But I don't sell Motivite. I don't sell She Legit. I don't sell any of that. I sell gold. But I'm just telling you from experience, two things. Motivite helps with the main thing it does, and they won't tell you this. They'll tell you, oh, it makes you, give you the warm feeling. But the main thing I find about Motivite is Motivite helps with neurons. Motivite helps with neurons. Again, I don't sell this stuff. This stuff has become extremely expensive. My Motivite, you talking about Bitcoin, my Motivite that I bought, that I got some big boulders, and I paid, like the big piece I wear, I might have paid $250. That thing worth $800-900 now. So Motivite is like my boulders each are almost triple when I bought them, and I've had them 6-7 years. But like my one piece, I paid $125. My 22 grams of Motivite and that shit is tripled in price. So Motivite is well worth it. But like sometimes, to give you a perfect example, sometimes I get stuck. Yeah, you can get 6K or 8K very cheap. There you go. You can. And again, it's going to help with your acuity. And this is something you can ask for. When you sit with the gold, ask for it. Now, if you can only wear a gold ring, that's fine too, or a gold bracelet, that's fine too. But ask it to help with your acuity, because even here or even here, it can get to your mind. But it's just up here is closer, but you have to program it to help you with your acuity. That's and that's one thing about like even your protective environment, you got to touch all that. So like when I sit down, all these protections I have, I activate them first. I activate the room, and then I activate what's on me. And I make each thing do what they're supposed to do, because I tell them, I bought you out of love, not out of flossing. I bought you out of love of my personal like. And when it comes to the gold and it comes to the Motivite, you ask the Motivite, you say, please help me with my neurons. Help me with my acuity. Same with the gold. You have to program it. Help me with my acuity. Help me with my neurons. And what you'll find is you get to talking, and you'll like sometimes you see me kind of forget, and little messages. It's like I've even had crystals where I forgot the name of the damn crystal, and the crystal will tell me its name. And I don't mean, like the crystal skull's name. I don't mean that. I mean like I'm holding this and I'm like, damn, I can't remember what the name of it is. And it'll tell me its name. Oh, I'm a pot type. But I'll get the flub in my words, and then it'll to me. It just is the most remarkable thing. But again, I've been working with this stuff since 14. I bought my first piece of Motivite in 14. And so activate the room. You got to activate the room. Like I have Populite pyramids in every corner of my room. And you want to activate that because there's not very much that can penetrate through a Populite. See, Zoolites are master scrubbers. And so when you use them as barriers, they're already, their job already is to get rid of shit that ain't wanted. And so when you use them in your barriers, that they're already scrubbers, master scrubbers. So they're already getting rid of that shit for you. And then I put selenite in windows. Those of you that don't want to be fucked with, you should have one in your bedroom window or windows, because they will close off. Because if you don't have any protection, the windows are the easiest way for them to get in. Be it sleep paralysis, be it whatever. Just a playful little evil energy that's just like fucking from house to house, fucking with people. But selenite will almost be a barrier, and that it's really like that. It's almost like it's like. Give you a prime example. I had this Moses like motherfucker trying to bear down on me, and then he was bearing down on me, and I was laying down out here in my living room, and here he's coming, and it was like, boing. It was just, the shit was funny as hell. This Moses face kept hitting and backed it up. He would like a car, like he would run into the bear, and then he'd back, he'd try to hit the shit again. And at first I was kind of like, damn, this one coming down on me really hard. And I'm like, God damn, this motherfucker's really coming down on me hard. But then I just saw him hit and bounce back a little bit. I was like, aha, got you, motherfucker. At the end, I'm crying, laughing. At the end, I am crying, laughing. And like I am still, in the ears. But by the end of the shit, I just like had got so close to the barrier. And the shit, I'm like, motherfucker, you still trying? And I am just crying, laughing, because this motherfucker's just running into this shit and bouncing back, and he wasn't able to break it. So the shit can work for you. The shit can work for you. Now, to tell you the whole story, books, movies, shit you bring in, you bring in. I'm gonna say this again. Shit you bring in, you bring in. So you have to stand. You bring in books, you bring in movies, you bring in magazines, shit you bring in, you bring in. So I want to give that to tell the whole story, because you can bring in shit. Like if you got a bunch of monster goddamn slasher movies, that shit's in your environment. I mean, you can be protected if you want, but if you got a lot of that shit around you, again, you brought it in. So to tell the whole story, because I hate motherfuckers that don't tell the whole story. Because I know sometimes that, like I said, the Book of the Dead tells you, not agreeable. And that's another thing, like in the Gospel of Christ or whatever, the one where he jumps off the cross and he sees the beautiful little angel, and the beautiful little angel is the opposite. So remember, smiling faces can tell lies. Smiling faces can tell lies. Can you name the best 3 crystals to get so I can write them down and get? To me, the top 2 are Motivite and Shungite. Motivite and Shungite. Now, to tell you the whole story about Motivite, it's best to get it in a harmonizers because, well, again, it's you. What's interesting about Motivite, if you are the person that likes going from 0 to 1,000, Shungite will do that. Shungite will literally, you get a good piece of Shungite, you close your eyes, the next thing you know, you're on when you get on a ride at the carnival or something, you get on a ride and the ride just jets you, it can do that. If you don't have some kind of grounding crystal, Shungite can really uplift you really quickly. If you like that kind of thing, it's for you. Just keep that in mind with Shungite. Obsidian is really good energy too. Obsidian is a really good energy. I love Shyrite. I would say if I had to pick, if it would just be 3, it would probably be Motivite, Shungite, and Shyrite that comes out of Russia. Shungite and Shyrite comes out of Russia. And Shyrite, this is why I like Shyrite, and I don't have any around me. Let me see it in this book to show you a picture. It is. It's a purple black stone. This comes from Russia, but that's how it should look. You don't want a light purple. You want the blacks in it. You want the blacks in it. You want the deep purples and the blacks because it can take you into blacks. Now, what she calls it is, and again, this is Judy Hall, and Judy Hall is a channeler, so I'll tell you the whole story. But it's a stone of transformation. It is the soul stone that overcomes fear, stimulates inner vision and spiritual insight. These are just a few things. But those would be my 3 favorite, with the 4th being apatite. Just as I was saying, Shyrite is brilliant for what you bring in. It is brilliant for that. It is brilliant for to keep you on what you study. Like it really will keep you on what you are studying. It'll keep you focused. And that's apatite is great for path work. If you wonder if you're on the right path, this is a great stone. And this is apatite. It's a type of bluer stone. And I guess my 5th one, again, you have to see how you resonate, is Pneumite. Pneumite is called the source stone, sorcerer's stone, or source stone. If you need to be more logical, you carry this around, you be one logical motherfucker. I mean, you really will find yourself being like Dr. Spock, logical. So if you look at those kind of things, what would be your need of all that I mentioned? But Pneumite really will have you, like it'll really have you do this first, do that second, do that third. If you really need that in your life, Pneumite is great for that. You start working with Pneumite and carrying Pneumite, before you know it, you will really catch yourself being a very logical person. But if I had to start all over again, it's Motivite, Shugite, and then again Shyrite. With Potite, and I would even put before Potite, I put Numite. I have affinity for green stones. I have a lot of green stones around me. That's why I have so much Motivite, because I do kind of have affinity for green stones. But Numite, I carry Shite all the time. I carry Motivite all the time. I carry Shar all the time, and I carry Numite all the time. So it just depends on those things what you would need. Yeah. But those is 5, and you could just look them up, do your own work, and see what would fit you best. But that's the best explanation I can give you. Shugite, I say Shugite protective stone too. There's not very much that can penetrate Shugite, and that's one reason why I do carry it all the time, because it is the most protective stone. I think it's even more protective. Like if you read the Russian literature on Shugite, it shows you that, you know, they try to tell you black tourmaline or black schist, I think is how it's pronounced, that it's one of the most protective crystals, but none of it is more protective than Shugite. So for protection, you can't beat Shugite. It's hard. Shugite is hard to beat for protection. So. Well, I'm going on 3 hours. I think that's enough for an old man. Everybody, if you're not hooked up, not subscribed to Conspiracy University, you should be, because you will enjoy his content. And, you know, I watch everything he puts out. I try to leave a comment. Definitely give him a like, because he puts out that spits hot fire. He spits hot fire. So, well, thank you. You know, this has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. I've been your host, A. Wind is Timeless. Thank you for coming into the chocolate Milky Way that we all are moving through. And I try to tell you the whole story. I don't just try to tell you the favorable side. I try to tell you the whole story and not just one side. Some people only tell you one side of the shit. You got to be leery of that. Some people like holding back the information. You know, some people like holding back information. Be leery of them too. Be leery of the people that just say, well, they just tell you the good side and they don't tell you the A and B side. Like I was saying with Shugite, there's no doubt that shit ain't for everybody. Because if you just like you thinking you about to meditate and you grab this crystal, the next thing you know, you are shooting like you got a jet engine under you, you know, it might not be for you. I ain't gonna say it's gonna do everybody like that, but there's the potential. It has some of the strongest energies. Now, Motivite, a lot of people think Motivite is warm to the touch. My one friend, is Crystal, she says it's too strong for her, but I haven't had any of those. A lot of people say it is so warm to the touch. I've never had what's called a Motivite rush. I've never had that, but Shugite, I was, you know, and remember, once you buy crystals, you got to clean them. You got to clean them. Selenite, don't put it underwater. It'll disappear on you. Study it. Like all the ones I mentioned, Shugite comes out of the water. So none of the crystals I mentioned water will hurt them. But smoke can clear them. Water can clear them. Smoke can clear them. Because again, these things are handled by a lot of people. Take long trips, and you know, you just don't want all this other energy. So you want to clear it. And then you want to, you know, the next thing is you clear it. And the next thing is, you know, you tell this that you're going to get into your heart. You're going to break it into your awareness. And then feel the communication. And the communication, what's funny is, I had one divineness on here. She one time mentioned that she would bring angels in, that angels like be a color or flashes and stuff. You can find crystals giving you the same kind of thing to let you know that it's in there. Because you'll have your eyes closed and you'll see like a little wiggly flash, and it's the crystal saying hello. And once you get used to it, you know, you can kind of like hello to it, and then it'll flash. It'll show you in some kind of way. It ain't all the same, but it's like, say just, you know, everything is black, and then all of a sudden some orange come in. You know, it comes from the crystal. So, well, this is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I have been your humble host, A. Wind, and In some ways, I am timeless. Till we meet again. Thank you, everyone.